to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, she allegedly told workers that she planned to turn the feces into a necklace. CBP destroyed them. They say it's not illegal to bring animal feces into the U.S., but those who do so need to have a veterinary services permit. I'm Mark Mayfield.
That's weird. I walked in here and Casper had some macaroni, some glitter, and then a box of, I don't know what that is. He was making a necklace, he told me.
She planned to turn the feces into a necklace.
For Sports Talk 105.1, I'm Morgan McCarthy. Ugh.
A chillier start to the morning with most of us starting off in the 40s. We'll have more chances for some showers as a mainly cloudy sky hangs around. Those winds remaining breezy out of the west too, sustained anywhere from 10 to 20 miles per hour. Otherwise, tonight we'll have partly cloudy skies. Temperatures dipping to the upper 30s. Could give way to some frost for tomorrow morning. Otherwise, intervals of clouds and sun with highs in the low 50s. I'm 13 First Alert meteorologist Mike D'Andrea.
Experience movies the way they were meant to be at your locally owned family theaters, Micon Cinemas. Here's what's playing now. The Creator, Dumb Money, The Exorcist Believer, Expendables, A Haunting in Venice, Hocus Pocus, The Nun 2, Paw Patrol the Mighty Movie, and Saw 10. For theaters and showtimes, find them online at myconcinemas.com.
You need to hire? Indeed is with you every step of the way, helping you attract, interview, and hire new candidates all from one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Welcome to the Dan Kasper Show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's the show that features serious, thought-provoking sports talk and insightful sports commentary.
You knew it.
In other words, it's the show where they all talk a crap load about sports.
Let's go for it.
Now let's introduce your host, a man who lives and breathes and has a passion for sports. A man who breaks everything down in the sports world and gives you everything you need to know. Plus a bunch of stuff you probably don't need, but you'll still enjoy it.
You can't handle the truth.
Here is your host, Dan Kasper.
Prime time. Prime time.
What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Friday. Finally, the end of the week. Am I right? Appreciate you tuning in, however, wherever you may be tuning in from. Radio dials, got a couple of those, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, also available online, sportstalk1051.com. You got your Google and Alexa home devices. You got the video stream also up and rolling, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. App, take us on the go wherever you may want to, wherever you're traveling, all that good stuff here. But a little chilly start, depending on where you're listening to us from. Finally feeling a little bit like fall here, maybe getting out to do a little deer hunting this weekend. Youth hunt going on too. So, but best of luck to anybody going out there. Don't forget to send us your pics if you have any luck and such. Oh man, what do we got on the what do we got on the game plan here this morning? We'll chat some football. I know Green Bay doesn't play till Monday night, so we can do a little bit of a deep dive on Monday as they take on the Raiders. However, Packers returning to practice yesterday to kind of yesterday was like a Wednesday on a normal week, you know, if they played on a Sunday. So, but still good news. Elton Jenkins practiced. Jair Alexander practiced, Watson practiced, Jones practiced, no Devondre Campbell. He didn't practice. Sounds like he's out. Rudy Ford didn't practice yesterday either, but sounds like he could potentially give it a go today. So, but that would be such a huge boost if Elton Jenkins is on the line there too. But John Runyon also didn't practice, although it'd like really nice if he could get going and get practicing there too. So. But we'll chat a little green and gold. Jair Alexander looking forward to a potential matchup with his former teammates, Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams also talking a little bit to the local media yesterday too, saying that a couple comments from Devontae saying, I didn't about Jair. I didn't create that monster, but he definitely turned into one. Devontae also saying there's a lot of mutual love and respect with the Packers and I. And had this kind of a cool nugget to say about Aaron Jones. This is according to Wes Hodowitz from Packers.com. I never seen anybody like him as far as just how vertical he plays, going through the hole. People aren't ready for it. It's so downhill. He doesn't give people time to get a plan together. So some high praise from Devontae towards his former teammate there. Jair also chatting a little bit with the media, saying that he made it known he wants to match Devontae Adams. He's the best in the league. He's just quick. I could go on, but he's the best. I'm going to leave it at that. I wouldn't say it's like the Super Bowl or the playoffs, but it's kind of like that. It is what it is. I can't miss this matchup. It's like a mouthpiece in all game type of game. Isn't really too much to say. Just go out there and do it. So, we'll hit this up here coming up in just a little bit. Talk a little green and gold and look ahead to the schedule. Bears picking up a win last night, their first win of the season, and it was shortly before the game kicked off. It was announced that Dick Butkus, one of the best players of all time, one of the best Chicago Bears, one of the best NFL players of all time, passing away at the age of 80. Dick Butkus was actually at the Packers and Bears game to open up the season. If you didn't follow Butkus on Twitter, he was kind of an entertaining follower on Twitter too. He did a lot of trash talking on there towards Packers fans and such, or towards the Packers too. But it's definitely a sad time to see one of the greats, one of the best of all time, passing away. And there's, a little Green Bay connection with it too. Not just because he played for the Bears, but his nephew, Luke Butkus, the offensive line coach for the Packers too. So, but sad news yesterday, right before kickoff between the Bears and Commanders. And remember, Ron Rivera was a former Bears player too, so a lot of connections for that game. But Bears kind of leaving it all out, and man, where was this Bears team earlier? Fans are probably saying of Chicago. Where was this team earlier? So they snapped their 14-game skid. DJ Moore caught 8 passes for 3 touchdowns and 230 yards, 40-20 victory. We'll make some picks a little bit later on, looking ahead to this schedule coming up this weekend. Jacksonville, Buffalo, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. You've got Tennessee and the Colts on there. Philly versus the Rams. The Vikings going to be taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Vikings just looks like 3.5 underdogs on there. Jets and Broncos, which way before it looked like it was going to be a more interesting matchup with the whole drama there, but now it's just like that's taking a big downfall there. And then Cowboys, 49ers, Sunday night football. Also, we got some college football to be talking about. We'll make some picks with college coming up here. Badgers back in action, going up against Rutgers at home, 11 a.m. kickoff. We'll take a look at that, preview that game as well, and take a look at the entire slate and make some picks with the college football schedule on there too. But we'll see the Badgers coming off this bye week. How different will the offense look with no Chez Mellusi? Braylon Allen figured to get a little bit more carries out there too. So, but we'll hit that up. I know we got a little Big Ten action. Morning to you as well, Illini Greg. His Fighting Illini at home taking on Nebraska before the we got a couple weeks yet before Badgers taking on Illinois there too. But got some good games coming up this weekend. Oklahoma at Texas, number 12 Oklahoma at number 3 Texas. We'll see how good Maryland is. They're visiting number 4 Ohio State. So good benchmark, good test for the Terrapins there. LSU at Missouri, battles of a couple of back-end ranked opponents there. We got Alabama visiting Texas A&M. Michigan's at Minnesota. Kentucky visiting Georgia. So got a few games here to hit up. Notre Dame at Louisville. Louisville cracking the top 25 at number 25 there. So Blue Gold's also in action this weekend or tomorrow for homecoming, welcoming number 5 River Falls to Carson Park. If you haven't checked out the latest episode of the Rollin' with the Goals podcast, we talked with a couple of football players. It was a really fun conversation, but you should hit that up and listen to that later on before the game tomorrow, before the homecoming game tomorrow. We'll talk a little baseball too with Brandon Berg. Brandon was at that final game for the Brewers. I know we talked a little bit about the off season yesterday, but with Brandon now, he's kind of our Brewers guy. We'll kind of get his thoughts, his take on the off season. Obviously, the big question out there still Craig Counsell and that sort of stuff. But also, we'll take a look at the divisional series that starts tomorrow. We'll kind of redo some of our picks maybe here too. Twins taking on Houston. That should be a fun one. I know a lot of Twins fans excited about that too. So, but yeah, we'll hit this. We'll hit up some baseball chat coming up here too. Plus, we got NHL. We got the NHL season starting next week. Bucks tipping off preseason action this weekend. We're getting close, less than 3 weeks away from tip off for that. Speaking of Brandon, we'll get some updates on some of the local stuff. I know Regis football picked up a big win against Neilsville Granton last night, but we just got a couple weeks left of the regular season here. So we'll get the latest with Brandon. Tennis, I know Memorial and Altoona punching tickets to states. We've got other stuff on the docket here too. Brandon will break it all down for us. Also, we'll catch up with Dr. Crow for a little inside the training room, 7:05, so just under an hour from now. We'll talk to him about Brandon Woodruff's injury, any lingering effects, any effects to the future, long term, that sort of stuff. So we'll chat with Dr. Crow about that as well. But let's get things plus cream of the crop. We'll get to that and the Carpet City Flooring Center local spotlight. But let's get things going here this morning. Let's change it up here a little bit. Let's have a fun conversation, and we'll talk a little football here. We'll kind of dabble into a little Packers and Raiders and take a look at some of the games here. We're entering this. I view this personally, just me, and I know everybody's kind of different here, but I view this as like the final game of the first quarter of the season, just because it works out a little bit. You got the bye week after that. So, when it was a 16 game schedule, it worked out so much easier. The first, you could divide it by 4s and all that. So not that doesn't work out that way anymore. So I kind of view this just because Green Bay's got the bye week and, following this game, but we're about almost 1/4 of the way through the season already, believe it or not. So we'll kind of take a look at that, and when you kind of give us an early preview, I'm really excited about this potential Jair and Devontae matchup. I know Devontae's been missing some practice time with the shoulder issue. Doesn't sound like though. I mean, if you kind of read between the lines here, doesn't sound like he's going to miss this game, and it sounds like Jair is going to be playing in this game too. I can't wait for this matchup, iron versus iron over there. Don't know if there'll be any trash talking or if it'll just be mutual respect between the two, as Jair kind of said. It's kind of a keep your mouthpiece in your mouth type of game. Not potentially a lot of jawing there, but never know. Devontae's going to want to step up, and Jair is going to want to step up for this type of matchup coming up here too. So, but we'll take our first break. And we'll be back. We'll chat a little football to open up things here this morning. Bears with a big win last night, although maybe Bears fans didn't want to win. I don't know. You want that number 1 pick? Who the heck knows? We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Got a take on today's topic but can't call in? Then hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or the text line and let your fingers do the talking.
Are you ready to discover a hidden treasure trove of home improvement wonders while giving back to your community? Look no further than the Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity Restore. At the Restore, you'll find an ever-changing selection of quality furniture, appliances, building materials, and so much more, all at unbeatable prices. But here's the best part. Every purchase you make at the Restore supports their mission to build affordable homes for families in need right here in the Chippewa Valley. It's shopping with a purpose, making your house a home while making dreams come true for others. So whether you're looking for a stylish new piece for your living room or tackling a DIY project, make the Restore your first stop. Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity Restore, where every item tells a story and every purchase builds a brighter future. So get shopping at the Restore, located at 145 North Claremont Avenue in Eau Claire. And for more information on the Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity, simply visit their website at cvh4h.org.
Winters can get long in Wisconsin. I'll bet by next March you'll be ready to take a break. Well, if you are, come on along. We're going to take a farm tour to Costa Rica and Panama, March 23rd through April 1st. We'll explore tropical treasures of unique wildlife in these two Central American countries. We'll explore Costa Rica first into the agricultural portion of our tour with a visit to the Doca Coffee Estate. And here we'll discover the importance of the coffee bean to Costa Rica's economy. We'll also make stops at the Cano Negro Wildlife Refuge and Arnall Volcano National Park. And we'll go visit the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans as we sail through the Panama Canal. We'll take in the sights of Panama City, meet local agricultural experts in Panama as well as we find out about all that country's agriculture. Visit holidayvacations.com. The keyword is wax for more information and to watch a travel show, or call 888-557-1020 for a free brochure.
America is kept safe because the Army National Guard responds, protects, and supports our nation when it needs them most. From fighting wildfires with air support, helping civilians in flooded neighborhoods, to delivering food and supplies to those who have lost everything, the Army National Guard always responds when disaster strikes. The Army National Guard also trains to be ever vigilant against threats, foreign and domestic. They protect our skies with missile defense weaponry. They secure our information, communications, and infrastructure with cybersecurity. And they protect us against chemical, biological, and radiological hazards with the civilian support team. The Army National Guard also stands ready to deploy and provide support for conflicts or humanitarian missions abroad. Join the Army National Guard and be there to respond, protect, and support your community and your country. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333.
Hey there, athletes and active folks of the Chippewa Valley. When it comes to your health and performance, there's only one name you need to know: Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. They specialize in getting you back in the game. Their expert team of orthopedic specialists and sports medicine doctors will treat your injuries and provide personalized care. Your comeback story begins at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Just visit cvosm.com. That's cvosm.com to learn more and to schedule your appointment.
If Culligan isn't treating your home's water, you likely have water problems all around you, like hard-to-clean chalky residue on your shower, faucets, and bath, stains around your sink drains, spots on your dishes and glassware, plus dull, dried-out hair and skin, and problems you don't see, like scaly buildup in the water heater and pipes. But have no fear, you're in the clear with Culligan Products and Service. For all your residential and commercial water filtration needs,
visit CulliganH2O.com for your local Culligan water dealer.
Do you remember all those times playing in the backyard and daydreaming of either playing on your favorite sports team or dreaming about all the goals you wanted to accomplish in life? We still do that today, and that's why we created Backyard Dreams. We want to help people accomplish their goals, chase their passions, and achieve their dreams. Whether someone's dream is to attend a ball game, someone needs a new pair of basketball shoes, or a Little League team needs help going to a tournament, we want to help, and we need your help as well to help our community. To learn more about Backyard Dreams, just visit sportstalk1051.com.
Don't forget to check out the Man Cave podcast brought to you by our good friends from Hy-Vee, Toyson Ford. We got some new stuff that we're doing, including keywords, key phrases. I might change it up and just call it password, like the good old game Password. Remember that? But every episode that you listen to, you're going to hear a key word, key phrase. If you enter that in at sportstalk1051.com, you're going to accumulate some more points, kind of like a loyalty program sort of thing. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. But the more points that you accumulate, prizes, experiences, events, that sort of stuff. So want to check it out. It's pretty easy. You can go about it a couple different ways. When you're listening to the pod, you can text us on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line, the word cave, and then you're going to get a link to enter that keyword in, or you just go to our website and enter it in that way. It's really simple. So go check it out. We'll have a new episode up later today with Brandon and myself, where in honor of Giannis, part of this podcast, not going to be the whole part or whole thing, but part of one of the segments in the podcast, in honor of Giannis trying to brat for the first time, which really, I mean, I guess I believe it too, but him trying to brat for the first time, we're coming up with our top 5 list. Each of us come up with a top 5 usually when we do these, but top 5 things, items, experiences you have to do in Wisconsin. So like if somebody, a buddy of yours who's never been to Wisconsin says, "Hey Joe, I want to be a Wisconsinite. I want to really fully experience the Wisconsin thing." The 5 things they have to either like do or try or whatever. Brandon and I are going to have our own top 5s over there. So you want to play along with us? You can let us know too after you listen to the podcast. All right. Let's get things going here on the leadoff. So we got Packers Raiders coming up. That'll be Monday night. We can focus on like key matchups and keys to victory and really break down that game on Monday. But I want to talk a little bit about, Devontae Adams here. Now, obviously, he hasn't been with Green Bay in the last couple of years here, but this is a storyline leading up to it. We mentioned it. He talked about, going up against Aaron Jones. Talked about him a little bit too. Aaron saying, this was another great line from Aaron Jones on what Devontae Adams' mentorship meant to him early in his career. This is from Ryan Wood. Aaron saying, "It meant a lot. Devontae was a role model to me, somebody I looked up to, like a big brother. He took me under his wing when I first got here. In the receiver room, they had a thing going, a little ongoing bet on who was going to come out as the running back, because we had 3 at the time. Tay picked me, and he let me know that. He'd bump me sometimes like, 'Hey, go prove it.' Or I'd make a play, and he'd be like, 'That's why I chose you.' Just little things like that to do a lot for my confidence and keep me going. Then as I kept going, kept having success, he'd stay in my ear, keep pitching me, giving me things to be successful. things that I helped him. So I view him as a big brother. I love Tay, and I'm excited to see him. I know once in a while we have this discussion, who's going to be, the next Hall of Famer, who's going to be the next Packers Hall of Famer, that sort of stuff. Besides Rodgers, that's the easy one, right? That's a foregone conclusion. But after that, it's like, okay, who's the next, and maybe kind of focus on a current player or just a recently retired one, because I do believe now the trend is changing, that I do believe that we are soon going to see Sterling Sharp in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I believe that. A few years ago, I probably would have said no, but I think that trend is changing. That narrative is changing. He's been, getting close to finalists and such. It's going to be a senior committee thing, and that's kind of backlogged in that. But I do think we are eventually going to see it. But in terms of like players who maybe just wrapped up their careers or still playing, you think Devontae's on that path? I'll be honest with you. I've got his numbers up, and I was looking at his numbers. And last week he with that game, he has surpassed the 10,000 yard career mark. He surpassed that. So he's actually, when you look at it from the all-time receiving list, he is 103 yards away from Donald Driver. Now, Donald Driver is the all-time Packers leading receiver. We know that in yards because Donald played his whole career in Green Bay. And Tay is actually 26 yards away from passing Shannon Sharp. Now, Shannon, obviously, a tight end in the Hall of Fame and such. But Devontae is over that 10,000 yards mark. Currently, 53 all-time. That's, you got other guys on here that are above him that I don't know if they'll make the Hall of Fame and such, like Chad Johnson's 11,000, not Seabaum, Chad Johnson, the other Chad Johnson. These DeAndre Hopkins is 33rd. He has a chance to pass Calvin Johnson. Calvin's at 32 here. But, you look at Devontae and some of his accolades through his career so far. He's got 3 All-Pros, 2 with the Packers, 1 with the Raiders last year. He's been to 6 Pro Bowls. He kind of, I think what really maybe boosted his stock was putting up the numbers that he did last year. Because for many, it's like, well, when you spend your career with a Hall of Fame quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, and that's you're his go-to guy for a few years there, yeah, your numbers are going to be high. But I think what helped Devontae a little bit, I shouldn't say just a little bit, but fairly well last year, was he put up over 1,500 yards receiving and 14 touchdowns with the Raiders, going back and forth between it was mostly Derek Carr, but then we know what happened at the end of the season, those last few games there. I don't know if he's on that. I think he's on a path, but I don't think he's there yet. But the thing is that he's still got a few more years here, and I think he's still got a few more years of some quality ball that maybe Devontae could climb up into that rankings list. And really, though, to me, and when you look at these last few years here with wide receivers and Hall of Fame, it's tough to crack it. It's tough to get in there. Reggie Wayne is 10th all-time in receiving yards right now. And you got Andre Johnson, who's 11th. These names that, at least for me, those were the names that I kind of either grew up or high school, college. Those were the names that resonated with me. But those guys right now aren't in the Hall of Fame. They've been close. They're not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame yet. And you go look at a guy like Reggie Wayne. Devontae's got more All-Pros than him. Devontae's already got the same amount of Pro Bowls if you look at Pro Bowls. I mean, those numbers. But it's the receiving yards. when you're looking at receiving yards, quite a bit higher than Devontae this point. But point being, it's been hard for a lot of these receivers. The log jam, remember a while ago, it took forever for Chris Carter to get in there, Tim Brown to get in there, guys like that. So Julio Jones right now is 16th on this list, and I know he's kind of done now at this point. I still think there's some hurdles for Devontae to clear to get there, but if he puts together a few more good seasons, then I wouldn't put it completely out of the realm. The other guy in this whole thing too, when you're trying to think, okay, who's the next Packer, former Packer, whatever, to make the Pro Football Hall of Fame or to get their name on the Lambeau Field facade, you kind of wondered about Bakhtiari, and now you just wonder with the knee thing, did that derail a gold jacket career for Bakhtiari? Or, again, I think that narrative is kind of changing with, shorter careers, injury-plagued careers. We saw Tony Baselli get in. And I would argue that Bakhtiari's put together a few more years than Tony Baselli. And Bakhtiari's got those all-pros on there too. Could he potentially? Now, it's probably not going to be a lock, sealed, delivered sort of thing if he never would have gotten hurt and he continued this trend up there. But I would say those are two names that are, when I'm looking at, current players or just players that wrapped up their careers Packer-wise, that would be the next in line besides Aaron Rodgers, besides Sterling Sharp, to maybe get in. But, Devontae, he was one of my favorite players to watch in the entire league. And obviously, we got to watch him a lot. We got to watch that guy a lot in Green Bay. But watching the connection between him and Rodgers and Jordy were fantastic connections too. That's one of the things that I, throughout that Rodgers era, that I think I'll always remember, is whenever he did have a connection with a receiver, some of those plays, some of those throws, I mean, it's rare to see some of that. I still remember being at, and it was just a couple years ago, but the last game that I got to see in person, where it was both Rodgers and Adams on the field. It was it was when the Vikings played. It was right after Christmas, so it was a couple of years ago. Devontae's final year there. And I just remember there was a couple back shoulder throws, and it was right in front of us. I was on the visitor side, but it was kind of by the tunnel there. And there's some Vikings fans sitting in front of us and such. And that was the game Kirk Cousins didn't play. He tested positive for COVID. So, Green Bay kind of ran away with that game. Mike Zimmer's final year too. But there was a couple back shoulder ones when, I vividly remember watching the play go, Rodgers throwing. Devontae doesn't even have his head turned yet. He's blanketed in coverage. But then that quick second, that quick turnaround, back shoulder, makes the catch. And I just remember these fans sitting in front, and they said, what can you do? What can you do? The connection that those two had, and the playmaking ability, and Devontae's ability to get off the line of scrimmage. That is what I think separated Devontae so much from other receivers. Wasn't that he wasn't the biggest guy. It wasn't that, he was the fastest guy. His hands, his catch percentage, his catch radius, and his ability to get off the line of scrimmage. Those, I call it the basketball crossover, the basketball moves to get off that line of scrimmage. It was so fun to watch. It was so fun to watch. And that's one thing I'll always remember, during that era with Jordy. Jordy was just such a sweet route runner. Again, Jordy wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the biggest wide receiver. But the route running and the connection he had with Aaron, back shoulders again too, the nonverbal communication between these guys, it was so fun to watch. And I feel like Devontae, of all the receivers that have, come through Green Bay in the last 30 years, 23, 20, 25 years, whatever it may be. Yeah, 30 years. Devontae is the closest one to Sterling for me in terms of just pure talent and athletic ability and an overall game. Like Sterling, and I'm kind of talking about like if I were to rank the Packers receivers that I have watched play personally, that I personally have watched play. I would probably put Sterling number one. And I'd probably put Devontae at 2, between him and Jordy, back and forth there. And I know a lot of people are going to probably put Donald Driver up there. And Donald Driver was a good receiver, fan favorite, leading receiver in Packers history of all time. But if you're asking me who would I pick in their prime, if I had Driver there sitting available in his prime and Devontae available in his prime, I'm picking Devontae. If it's between Jordy and Driver, I'm picking Jordy. We can get into a whole top 5 Packers wide receivers if you want, and if you guys want to text me your top 5 wide receivers, go for it for Packers history. Y'all know my number one. I mean, it's not even close. It's Don Hudson. But would Devontae be in your top 5 Packers wide receivers ranking? Would he be top 5 for you? And for me, I think so. I think I would put him. I think, it's Hudson, it's Sharp, it's Lofton. And then it gets interesting. Interesting there. To me, those are the top 3. Then how do you do the bottom 2 there? Do you go Driver because he is the all-time leader in receiving yards for the Packers? Do you maybe go with Devontae just because, when that guy during his prime and he's still putting up numbers, he was just unstoppable. He was, amazing to watch. Do you go Jordy? I really feel Jordy. Now, when you look at, not to, go back to deep history there, but I really feel like if Jordy Nelson didn't get hurt, tearing his ACL in the preseason, remember that game against Pittsburgh, if he didn't get hurt in 2015, I feel like Jordy would have eclipsed 10,000 yards in Green Bay and maybe would have pushed for the all-time leading receiving. If everything still played out, like Devontae still left and all that. Without the 2015 season and no Rodgers in 2017, remember Rodgers got hurt, missed a lot of time, and Jordy in 2017, that final year in Green Bay, he only had 482 yards receiving. But I really almost feel like Jordy would be very close to breaking the franchise record receiving yards. And Devontae, too. I think if Devontae would have stayed one more year, he probably would have passed. Would have been close. I don't know if he would have passed Driver, but it would have been close. But those guys would be up there. But is Devontae a top 5 Packers receiver of all time, in your opinion? I think it's close. And for me, I think I put him in there. Just because that dude's good. Man, is he good. And the connection that he had and when he played over, it was just fantastic. And remember, too, like he didn't get his first 1,000-yard season until 2018. He was a rookie in 14. He didn't get his first 1,000-yard season until then. 17, 885. It's close. Played 14 games that year. 16, he was 3 yards away. 997. But then ever since then, he's just been on a tear. And then 19. Even in 19, he just played in 12 games in 2019. 997. Otherwise, he would legitimately have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 years in a row right now. All right, let's take a quick break here. And we'll wrap up the first hour already here this morning. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back.
Hunters, let me ask you a question. In your gun cabinet, do you have a deer rifle that's been passed down throughout your family? Maybe from your dad, grandpa, or great-grandfather? I do. I've got an old 30-30 bolt action that's been passed down throughout the years. And it was my first deer rifle I used when I was 12 years old, and it will be my son's first deer rifle as well. Every deer rifle has a story to tell throughout the years. Stories about that big one you got and missed. So if you're looking for that new deer rifle to begin a new set of stories, let Tilden Gun help you write that new chapter in your deer hunting book. Whether you're looking for a new deer rifle for yourself so you can continue the tradition of passing along that older rifle to your young one, or looking for your first-time hunter's first deer rifle, Tilden Gun can help you. They did for me, and they will continue to help me write these stories in my deer hunting book. The added extra bonus about Tilden Gun, family-owned and operated, and the best deals in the Chippewa Valley. Just visit Tilden Gun today at 12427 90th Avenue in Chippewa Falls and visit tildengun.com.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Now you can get a Walmart Plus membership, plus not pay for it, because it's included with Straight Talk wireless plans. You get free delivery with Walmart Plus a Paramount Plus subscription included. Plus, you pay less for gas. That's a lot of pluses.
Only Straight Talk gives you unlimited 5G data and Walmart Plus included on select plans for free.
Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Requires service on Gold or Platinum Unlimited. One offer per eligible account. Paramount Plus Essential Plan only. Separate registration required. Additional terms apply.
Keep your feet warm and dry this winter with the Shoe Doctor in Eau Claire. Only the Shoe Doctor has over 4,500 styles of footwear and personalized fitting for everyone in your family. It's backed by the Shoe Doctor's exclusive 30-day comfort guarantee, so you know you'll walk away happy. The selection, brands, sizes, widths, service, and prices that fit just right. Come see for yourself at the Shoe Doctor. Easy to find. 2321 Claremont near Fairfax in Eau Claire. The Walmart Distribution Center in Menominee wants you to be part of the future. Walmart Distribution Center in Menominee is redefining supply chain, making warehouse work easier for their associates. Apply now and get the opportunity to work with a robotic system and autonomous AI-powered bots. Visit the Walmart Distribution Center Saturday, October 7th from 10 to 2 at their hiring event. You can become part of this incredible investment in the Walmart team and the community. You can be confident starting a new career at Walmart because 75% of their leaders started as hourly associates. Walmart DC offers progressive wages up to $31.05 an hour, full benefits, retirement, and paid college tuition. Be there in person Saturday the 7th between 10 and 2 at the Menominee Walmart Distribution Center, centrally located on I-94 at Exit 45, Menominee, a short commute from many points in the Chippewa Valley. Walmart Distribution Center is an equal opportunity employer.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. In the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333.
Catching up with our good buddy Phil from Hy-Vee quick this morning. Let's get to it because we got a couple really cool things going on that we really want to highlight here on this. Let's start with the perks.
Right. Huge change. Exciting change. So I call it a huge change because I'm super pumped about it. But for you, the customer, it's not going to be that big of a change other than you're going to save more money. So
I like that change.
Right. Hy-Vee Fuel Saver. We've always had a Hy-Vee Fuel Saver, right? You go, you get points at the store, and you go and you get money off the pump. Staying the same, but we're changing the name of the card to Hy-Vee Perks.
Okay.
Because honestly, there's some people who don't use the Fuel Saver at all, and we wanted to make sure there was still some value for that customer and still everybody got the save. So we changed it to Perks. And what this is going to be is as long as you've got your card, you're going to we have 120 items in the store. And these prices are not going anywhere. And these are seasonal. So these are going to be for the next 6 months.
Okay.
You're just going to save more off of our already low prices. So a good right off the front, because I've got my my little full
Right.
flyer here. Bananas, they're 59 cents every day. Right now, you go in, you buy them 59 cents. If you scan your card, 39 cents a pound every day.
Oh, no kidding.
However many you get, 39 cents. And we got all these. And what I like about these items is that we picked items that you're going to use every day. We didn't pick weird items, obscure items. So I'm going to rattle off a few just because I'm pretty happy with them. So Hy-Vee pasta, 88 cents every day.
Oh, heck yeah.
Hy-Vee butter, $2.98 every single day.
Put some in the freezer to load up if you have to.
Yes, exactly. Tide laundry detergent. Laundry detergent is always a hot one for my family anyway. So that's $12.97 every day, and that's everybody in town. So, but for here, $9.97.
Wow,
that's a huge savings.
That is huge, yeah.
And then the list just goes on and on. Roma tomatoes, 79 cents. Hy-Vee shredded cheese, $1.99 every day. The Hy-Vee the Armor lunch makers, little Lunchables.
Oh, yep.
99 cents.
Oh, that's what
Just
Hudson has for school lunch all the time.
Yep. Easy go-getter. Rotisserie chicken's $5.99 every day.
Yeah.
Nor pasta sides, $1 every day. Like, these are things, like I said, you're gonna have.
Right.
It's not weird stuff. This is just stuff you need. Hy-Vee water, the 24 packs, $2.99 every day. Coffee Mate creamer, $3.99. Like, huge savings. Hy-Vee 2 liters. Hy-Vee 2 liters is one that I'm going to point out because here in Eau Claire, I do not sell any Hy-Vee 2 liters. We're all very loyal to our pop.
Right.
But I think Hy-Vee pop's pretty good. And it's 77 cents for 2 liter. You're not going to beat that.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it's like $2 for just a little 20 ounce.
Right.
So you're saving money this way.
saving tons of money. So
exactly.
give the Hy-Vee pop a try.
All right, thanks, Phil. We're going to catch up with Phil here a little bit later on.
The latest sports news, scores, opinion, and commentary. If that's not enough, you should seek professional help. The Dan Kasper Show.
Probably at number 3 behind Hudson and Sharp. Okay, let's go. We got another one here. Devontae, there's an argument to be made. He could be top 5 Packers wide receiver all time. Can you imagine if he just played a couple more years under Aaron Rodgers? Yeah, you never know. That's a little what if, could have, shoulda, coulda, woulda sort of thing there. But yeah. What else do we got here? We're going to G-Man's got a quick text in here. What do you got to say here, G-Man? Today in the news, they said they opened a new store in Philly called the Rocky Store. They have Rocky swag for sale. Lucky Ducks. Would love some Rocky swag over there, man. So, good stuff. Okay, another text here. This is from Ben. Ben saying, I do think Devontae is a top 5 Packers wide receiver of all time. Loved watching him on the field. Miss that guy. Another texter. Don't know the name here. Really looking forward to that Jair and Devontae matchup. I hope that both of them are able to go and got sidetracked with another text there. I hope both of them are able to go. They're healthy. Would love to see those guys go at each other when they are 100%. Another text coming in here too. Jordy Nelson is my favorite Packers wide receiver of all time. I would put him in the top 5, but I'm probably a little biased. That's okay. You can be biased all you want, man. You can be biased all you want. All right. Coming up next hour, we're going to talk some college football. Badgers in action, taking on Rutgers. Blue Gold's also in action. We're going to chat some more baseball here, too, as we wrap up this Brewers season. We'll catch up with Brandon, our Brewers guy, Brandon Berg. He was also at the final game there, too, in the playoffs. Get his thoughts on that and all that fun stuff here, and catch up on some of the local stuff as well. We got the Carpet City Flooring Center local spotlight and cream of the crop. We want you to play along with us when it comes to cream of the crop. So if you got a nomination for cream of the crop, let us know. You can text those on over if you'd like. Okay? You can text those on over if you'd like. We'll get back to a little bit more football talk too when we make picks. I know we'll really break down Packers and Raiders on Monday since they played Monday night. So we can do some keys to victory and key matchups and all that good stuff when we're back Monday morning looking ahead to that. So we'll hit that up a little bit later on. But if you haven't gotten your picks in yet and you missed out on the Pro Football Weekly Pick'em Challenge and you missed out yesterday, better get them in. Although I'm not sure. I'm sure there was probably a few of you. I don't know how many people did pick the Bears to win. But, hey, give them credit. Dropping 40 last night. DJ Moore. Man, that guy looked really good. Wonder how many people benched him on their fantasy teams just because of how the first few weeks of the season has been playing out. So, I don't know. But Bears fans, are you like just maybe you don't want the team to win a bunch of games here to ruin your draft position at this point. But get your picks in if you haven't done so. SportsTalk1051.com. You guys know the drill, where to get it at. So I've got a couple more texts to catch up on. Definitely looking forward to Devontae versus Jair. I think if there is some trash talk going on, it'll be nothing but respectful. But I have a hard time believing Jair when he says he's going to keep his mouthpiece in and not do any talking. Devontae, I feel like, is going to have an awesome game coming up on Monday night. I just hope Joe Barry lets Jair shadow him throughout the entire day. I would agree. I want Joe Barry to not overthink this and just let 23 go out there and do his thing and go mano-a-mano with Devontae. I'm sure Devontae is going to get his own. I'm sure Devontae is going to, get a few passes, maybe even get a touchdown. I mean, it's hard to completely shut down Devontae. I mean, for crying out loud, remember there was the one, who was it? Was it the Lions? Remember the one game where they had like 3 guys on Devontae and Devontae even sat there and like counted them, like 1, 2, 3. I don't know if Green Bay will double cover him or not, but they also got to figure out stopping the run and not let Josh Jacobs run all over the place. So, but Joe Barry, don't overthink it. Let Jair go out there and just do his thing. All right, let him go and do his thing over there. So, texter asking, how much do you think Devontae wishes he would rather play with Jordan Love than the current quarterback situation with the Raiders right now? I know that's something I kind of joked about the other day. Going to the Raiders, that was obviously his favorite team as a kid. He's a West Coast kid. I know there's trade rumors going on, and Devontae's shut those down, saying he wants to stay with the Raiders and such. Obviously, he's displayed some frustrations with how they've played and maybe even some of the front office decisions over there. When he first got traded, Devontae said it had nothing to do with Jordan Love, but he also kind of said in the same breath, the unknown future of Aaron. I'm like, well, that kind of sort of says a little bit there, but I don't know. I've kind of wondered that too. I've kind of wondered that myself. So, all right, we'll finish up this hour with Morgan. Good morning, Morgan.
Hey, gearing up for Monday Night Football. Do you like Monday night games, or are you a tried and true Sunday guy?
Give me Sunday noon games.
Sunday noon's my favorite too. Yeah.
College, I was fine, and I would get upset when they didn't have primetime games.
Right.
But, give me all noon games on Sunday. Now I'm older.
I was going to say that's the way to say I'm old without saying I'm old.
Yep.
You're preferring those early kick games.
Yep.
So today's National Coaches Day. A couple of things. First of all,
Coaches Day, huh?
Your favorite coach. And I got to say, as the mother of an athlete, hats off to all coaches. I am one of those, hey, listen to your coach parents. I don't scream from the bench. I don't scream
That's
from the
thing,
sidelines.
Listen
to your coach.
I coached Hudson in T-ball, but I don't know if I want to be his coach.
No.
You know what I mean?
Well, we know our mutual buddy Josh does a lot of coaching for baseball and that kind of thing in the area. And
I want him to learn from others.
Mhm.
You know, that I feel like that's kind of a crutch.
I
So
always
that's where I want to back off. But
always support the coaches and say, that's where your athleticism, that's where your sports knowledge is going to come from. So I always direct Siggy to just listen to her coaches, be coachable, let them tell you how to grow and learn. And
I got to go. Probably I got two.
Mhm.
I'll go Coach V for golf,
Yeah?
Coach Vara, and Coach Betcher when I was in 8th grade basketball.
So basketball, golf coaches are your
Yeah,
favorite.
yeah.
So what have you thought about
And
this?
Coach T. Willie football too.
Overall, if you could, because I know obviously, Lombardi and the Packers have a legacy of good coaching staff, but and it can be across league, it doesn't have to be Packers only, but it could be if you want to stay Packer centric. Pick a player. If you could pick a player that you wished would turn to coach and try that sideline instead of playing, what player do you think would have graduated into the coach position best, or who would you like to see move from player to coach position?
So current player right now, or could
Yep.
it be a recently retired?
Either. Just more than not digging into the history.
So essentially kind of following Dion.
Yeah.
Deion
Kind of what
Sanders.
Deion's doing right now.
Because
I kind of think, Reggie would have been a good fit on the sidelines.
I think Peyton would be fun.
What do you think
Peyton
of
Manning.
Driver?
I know everybody. I remember I was at Driver's retirement because he did it for fans, so it was in the Lambeau Field facade.
Yeah.
And one of the reporters asked him about being a receivers coach, and he kind of gave a smile and looked over at Mike McCarthy over there.
Uh-huh.
I think he's just too busy.
Yeah.
With business
Well, he's doing a
ventures.
little bit of everything. He's
Yeah.
always popping around. He works, Wisconsin Department of Transportation and here and there.
He
and-
owns a bunch of cousin subs now, I think.
Yeah.
So, plus there's a play about him now coming out.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
I think Jordy Nelson would be really good.
Jordy, yeah, that's
as
a
a
good
position coach.
Okay.
Not really a roo rah 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 type of person on the sideline. So Peyton and Jordy maybe.
You'd like to see them make the turnaround to coach?
Aaron
What do you
Jones
think?
maybe at one point. I don't know. Yeah.
What do you think of Deion's performance so far?
I mean, he's changing the face of college, or he's changing the game in college football. A
For
lot
the
of
better?
I think he's adapting to the times.
Okay.
Whereas some coaches don't want to.
Yeah.
I think he fits with the whole NIL and transfer portal sort of
It
stuff.
is going
so-
through a metamorphosis right now. That
Yeah.
evolution is pretty evident. And it's almost like if you're not going to hop on the train, it's not stopping. So
I
you're
don't
going to
think-
get left behind.
I don't think he'd be a good NFL coach, just because
Mhm.
I don't think that would work in the NFL. But yeah,
One
he's
thing I
changing.
will say about Deion, just completely randomly, I grew up watching Deion play. He looks the same.
Oh yeah,
He's not aging. He's clearly fine to work college ball because he looks like a student practically.
Loss has a fewer left, not as many toes as he did. Back,
That's true.
but,
His feet
yeah.
are in rough shape,
Yeah,
but
they
other
are.
than that, he's
So,
okay.
All right, have a good weekend.
Hey, go Pat, go.
You got it. All right, 1 hour in, we got a couple more to go. We'll be back.
WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk 105.1 and 790 AM. From the 715 Newsroom, it's Morgan McCarthy with your news on Sports Talk 105.1.
Good morning. We'll start with headlines that put us in Trempealeau County, where a farmer is recovering from serious injuries after a combine accident. It happened this week, Wednesday evening, in the town of Arcadia, as deputies say the combine overturned the driver pinned inside. The 48-year-old man airlifted from the scene. Sheriff's deputies say his injuries are serious. They're continuing to investigate just how that accident happened. As we look into other headlines, Chippewa County's sheriff is going point by point through the recent investigation, and you can find that information online with Sheriff Hakes and a response at 715newsroom.com. As we look to expansion plans, you can chime in and shine a light on XL's plan for a new transmission line. The Western Wisconsin Power Company is eyeing a $500 million power line expansion. It wants to add a 345 kilovolt transmission line that would start in Blair and run to Owen or Sheldon, somewhere in that area. The utility says the new power lines will allow them to connect existing transmission lines and substations and should overall improve power reliability in the area. If you want to be part of the meetings for the public, you can find more information about those online. Just a very easy click set up for you at 715newsroom.com. On the political stage, Wisconsin is getting $90 million in federal grants to support crime prevention, and Senator Tammy Baldwin, familiar name to our area, says that will help fight the root causes of crime.
Implementation of programs to support law enforcement agencies in collaborative efforts with those who are expert in mental health and behavioral health issues.
Those grants will also help purchase body cameras for police and to help keep people out of jail after they've served their time. Baldwin, a Democrat, is up for re-election in 2024. Well, hey, if you're a Bucs fan, you may not know that Johnsonville was not the Bucs' official sausage until now. Johnsonville will now become the official sausage of the Milwaukee Bucks. Of course, they've been official as the sausage of the Milwaukee Brewers since 2018 when the company took over and then renamed the Racing Sausages. No one's saying what the official designation will mean, though, for sausages at Bucks games. And time to get on board. How do you call this a carry-on? Customs officials say they seized a box of giraffe feces at the airport in Minneapolis. What?
An Iowa woman tried to declare the feces after returning from a trip to Africa last Friday, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection. She allegedly told workers that she planned to turn the feces into a necklace. CBP destroyed them. They say it's not illegal to bring animal feces into the U.S., but those who do so need to have a veterinary services permit. I'm Mark Mayfield.
That's weird. I walked in here and Casper had some macaroni, some glitter, and then a box of, I don't know what that is. He was making a necklace, he told me.
She planned to turn the feces into a necklace.
For Sports Talk 105.1, I'm Morgan McCarthy. Ugh.
A chillier start to the morning with most of us starting off in the 40s. We'll have more chances for some showers as a mainly cloudy sky hangs around. Those winds remaining breezy out of the west too, sustained anywhere from 10 to 20 miles per hour. Otherwise, tonight we'll have partly cloudy skies. Temperatures dipping to the upper 30s. Could give way to some frost for tomorrow morning. Otherwise, intervals of clouds and sun with highs in the low 50s. I'm 13 First Alert meteorologist Mike D'Andrea.
Good morning. It's time for some farm news on Sports Talk 105.1. 2023 small grain production estimates for Wisconsin came out yesterday. According to the USDA Small Grains 2023 summary, winter wheat production in our state was estimated at 17.5 million bushels. That's 5% lower than last year. Acres planted to winter wheat totaled 280,000 acres. That's down 7% from 2022. Yields were 76 bushels per acre, 2 bushels lower than last year. Oat production was estimated at 4.58 million bushels. That's down 5% from 2022. 135,000 acres were planted to oats, and that's down 4% from last year. Acres harvested for grain totaled 75,000. That's up 15% compared to 2022. But oat yields were down 13% from last year to 61 bushels per acre. Barley and rye production here in Wisconsin were both down compared to 2022. The Class 3 milk price for September was $18.39 per hundredweight. That's up $1.20 from August, but $1.43 lower than a year ago. The average Class 3 milk price for the first 9 months of this year was $17.13 per hundredweight. And looking at this year's prices, January had the highest Class 3 milk price of $19.43 per hundredweight. Last year, the highest price for Class 3 milk was $25.21 in May. World Dairy Expo in Madison wraps up today with the International Holstein Cow Show this morning and the crowning of the 2023 World Dairy Expo Supreme Champion today at 4 o'clock. Which dairy breed will it be? Holstein, Red and White, Guernsey, Jersey, Ayrshire, or Brown Swiss will get to savor that crown for the next year. And that's a look at our farm news on Sports Talk 105.1. I'm Jill Welke.
Keep your feet warm and dry this winter with the Shoe Doctor in Eau Claire. Only the Shoe Doctor has over 4,500 styles of footwear and personalized fitting for everyone in your family. It's backed by the Shoe Doctor's exclusive 30-day comfort guarantee, so you know you'll walk away happy. The selection, brands, sizes, widths, service, and prices that fit just right. Come see for yourself at the Shoe Doctor. Easy to find. 2321 Claremont near Fairfax in Eau Claire.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation have been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
Crank it up.
Hey, are you ready to take? Get up. Yeah. He's on his way. He's our man. The man, the myth, the legend. That's Dan.
And now, the Dan Kasper Show.
Second hour on this Friday morning, October 6th. Appreciate you tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from. Coming up, we'll get to some baseball talk here just to continue to wrap up this Brewer season. Brandon will be joining us. He was at the final playoff game. He's our Brewer guy. We'll hit that up. We're going to preview some college football games, including the Badgers taking on Rutgers after their bye week here, homecoming for the Badgers. So we'll hit that up. And then get to maybe some hoops talk here too with the Bucks tipping off their preseason this weekend. Plus, we'll catch up on some of the local stuff here. Just a couple more weeks left of the regular season for high school football. We know we got some teams already getting ready for some postseason play and other sports. So Brandon will break that down for us as well. But we kick off this hour with a little Inside the Training Room with Dr. Crow.
Paging Dr. Crow. Breaking down the latest in sports injuries. It's time for Inside the Training Room with Dr. Crow. On the Dan Kasper Show.
All right, Dr. Crow, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, joining us here this morning. How you doing, Austin?
Fantastic.
That a boy. Hey, I want to start off. I know it may not matter at this point with the Brewers not in the postseason anymore, but right before the postseason began, it was announced that Brandon Woodruff would miss at least the wild card series and probably the whole playoffs because what they're calling a right shoulder capsular injury. Can you explain what that is essentially?
Yeah, so the capsule is basically the lining that runs around the joint. And really the thickening of the capsule is where we kind of describe them as more ligaments. And so as opposed to like the knee where there's very isolated, like the ACL is this large bundle, in the shoulder, the ligaments are just kind of a thickening of the capsule. So I don't know if he had kind of a injury to the actual capsule or one of those ligamentous structures. Traditionally, the capsule in and of itself doesn't get injured unless it's part of like an instability event, meaning the shoulder subluxes or dislocates, but you wouldn't expect that for a pitcher. So I wonder if it was maybe more of a capsular irritation, so like a capsulitis, but then they usually describe it more as an inflammatory process. So, but the capsule itself, again, is lining some of the ligaments of the shoulders with that structure.
So, because earlier in the season, he missed quite a bit of time. He only made 2 starts, and then he was out for a few months. What they were describing in the same shoulder as shoulder inflammation. Could this be related or maybe something similar to what he had suffered earlier on in the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very consistent. And unfortunately, sometimes pitchers will get stuck in a rut where they have inflammation in their throwing shoulder, and it's hard to break that cycle. Most commonly, it's associated with a phenomenon called glenohumeral internal rotation deficit. It's a mouthful, but basically we call it GERD. It's basically the inability when the pitcher throws for the arm to really internally rotate as far as it needs to, so it impinges or bumps on the inside. And that can cause inflammation of the joint capsule, which would, maybe what we're describing here. It can also damage the rotator cuff or the superior labrum. So those are the structures that are at risk with that GERD phenomenon.
So would there be any long-term issues with this since this is a couple times now in one season, or is it just, is there surgery options, or is it mostly just he's got to shut it down and just let it heal essentially?
Generally the latter of those. You try to treat these conservatively. Whenever you operate on a thrower shoulder, it's a crapshoot, just plain and simple. It's something that we try to avoid at all costs, but sometimes that's what you have to do. The long-term issue with that internal rotation deficit and what we call internal impingement is you can develop tears in the superior labrum or the what we call the infraspinatus, which is one of the rotator cuff tendons. So when you develop actual structural damage, that does change the equation where you start saying, look, I think we need to consider surgery, but the success rate for that in throwers isn't super high. So, maybe 50 to 75% get back, which sounds okay, but that's if you're a pro pitcher and it's like a coin toss to get back, that's not odds you like. So you definitely want to try to avoid it if you can. But I will say the fact that it's been recurrent this season, you start to worry that maybe this is something that isn't going to respond to the standard conservative treatment, because that's just already proving that it doesn't want to.
Interesting. Dr. Crow joining us here this morning, a little inside the training room. Elton Jenkins has been practicing here the last this week for the Packers. He had suffered a sprained MCL, and I had thought I'd read somewhere too. The main thing for him to get back on the field is just, is there any pain and pain management? Is that one of the factors to determine for coming back from a sprained MCL in your knee?
That's actually one of the biggest ones. Yeah. So as long as it's not a high grade, so like a really high grade 2 or a 3, where there's really substantial structural integrity loss, really you're looking at when can you functionally get back and play. So a lot of these grade 1 and then kind of more standard grade 2s, a lot of times we basically say, all right, we'll put you in a brace, start rehabbing, and when you can start running and playing, get back out there. So that can be as quick as a week or 2. Sometimes we see that 3-4 week mark, and for the really higher grade ones can be up to 6 or 8. So for him, hopefully being at lower grade, that he's able to just kind of get back out as pain allows.
I want to go back to Nick Chubb. I know we talked about him the last couple weeks here, but I'd seen a few days ago that when he had surgery, they found out that his ACL did in fact have to be repaired, because there was talk that maybe he just, I think it was tear his MCL. But when they opened him up or opened up the knee, they found out they did have to replace the ACL. Is that common sometimes to maybe find out you don't know the whole injury until you essentially open up the knee and kind of see what's under there?
Absolutely. I mean, there are times where you find more when you get there. I mean, MRIs nowadays are so sensitive. It's not often things are missed on MRI, but it can happen. I will tell you, anyone, I think we talked about this. The odds of Nick Chubb's knee injury being an MCL only were 0%.
Mm-hmm.
Not like 0.01. It was 0. I mean, the knee cannot bend that way without damaging one of the crucial. So, when they said that, those initial reports came out, I'm not sure who was releasing that info, but it was not. There's just no way that was accurate. So to find that ACL, I mean, the fact that it's only MCL ACL is also a surprise, frankly. So it may end up being more than just that, but certainly time will tell. But they don't always, of course, disclose all the information on what the injury was. But obviously, there's some that's being kind of either leaked or released on this one. But to answer your question directly, yeah, there are times where we go in and we're not expecting to find. It's usually more subtle injuries, not like a full ligament out. So in that setting, you'd be talking about like a small meniscal tear or maybe articular cartilage injury. So like something like Bakhtiari's dealing with, you'll sometimes get in with an ACL and not expect to see something. All of a sudden, there's a big shear injury to a piece of cartilage, and that is a surprise you don't like to see, but that does happen. And so, yeah, there are times where you don't know, and there are even more rare occasions where you go into surgery where part of the assessment is going to be the integrity of a ligament. So it's called an exam under anesthesia, because when we're examining an athlete's knee, I mean, it hurts when you're stressing an unstable and injured knee. So sometimes you have a hard time distinguishing, is that ligament actually functional? Because the MRI shows a partial tear, and it's a spectrum, but at some point it goes from being a stable to an unstable ligament. And so sometimes under anesthesia, they're fully relaxed, of course, and you can really get a good assessment.
I'm going to ask you a really stupid question, so don't try to laugh too much here.
Great preface here. Great preface.
Right. So, I mean, we were talking about Elton Jenkins, sprained MCL and that. Is it possible just to sprain an ACL?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, you can. But the mechanism, generally, it's a little more binary. So it's usually either pretty solid or completely ruptured. So if I suspect an ACL injury in an athlete, when I get an MRI, I mean, it's generally going to be complete or really minimal. So like an MCL, which you often get those grade 2s, you just don't see it with the ACL. Once it starts to tear that much, it generally tears all the way. So not saying it doesn't happen, but fairly uncommon. So I would say, things like MCL, you definitely see more commonly, but ACL, it can, but it's relatively rare.
And is that because of where the positions are with the ligaments? I'm going to try to go back to my kinesiology days here, Austin, where the MCL and the LCL are on the sides, whereas like the ACL, the anterior. Does that factor into that?
Yeah, you know your anatomy, so you pass.
Yes. Right.
The answer is yes, it is. And so we can kind of go back. We've touched on this a couple times in the past, but traditionally ACL injuries are non-contact. So what happens is the athlete's knee usually falls in what we call a dynamic valgus. So the knee kind of falls in and twists. And so there's this tremendous force that occurs, and it just exceeds what the ACL can handle. So when it tears completely. MCL injuries, on the other hand, are often contact, where an athlete gets rolled up on. So it's an actual direct impact. And so there's varying forces that go through that. So that's why you'll see sometimes there'll be like a really low grade 1, and the athlete kind of, runs up and down the sidelines and is back in the game 5 minutes later. And there are times where it's a grade, higher grade 1 or 2. Now they're missing a game or 2, or a grade 3, they miss 4 to 6 weeks or a little more. So that whole spectrum is just a little more prevalent with that.
So Aaron Rodgers, it's you can't go by a week without asking
Of course,
with this, but he was on the sideline. That was in attendance to watch the Taylor Swift game on Sunday, Chiefs and Jets. There. But he was on crutches. But was it a full on boot? Like when I think of a boot, you're thinking of the big old boots. There, it looked like a little bit of a brace thing on there. Is there anything? Can you read anything into that in terms of recovery? Because he's still sitting out there saying that he's planning on coming back at the end of this year. And I'm like, but if you're not in the playoffs, I can't see them wanting you to play or anything like that. But I think some people are kind of surprised he wasn't in a big boot. Is that a typical recovery, I guess, thing to wear at that point in time?
Yeah, most people do have boots on. I will concede that. And he may be in like a really small carbon fiber one. You saw he was on crutches still, so he wasn't fully weight bearing either. So he was just kind of, the foot was going through the motion. If you're not plantar flexing or pushing off, you're not really putting stress through the Achilles. So if he's really restricting the motion and firing of the calf, he won't stress it much even without a boot. The problem is let's say he slips and falls without anything protective on, all of a sudden you can really stress that repair in a hurry. So that's why I will immobilize my patients, and I think a lot of people do. It's not so much that it needs that protection in the sense of like stopping it from moving, but if they were to stumble, if they were to slip, not unintentional, then all of a sudden you can have a really big problem.
Right. Yeah. Because I think he had said to his buddy Pat the other day that like right now it's just like tight. Like I'm assuming just because it's in the healing process and he's not moving it that much at this point.
Correct. Yeah. If you took your ankle and didn't move it for a couple of weeks, it's going to feel real tight. Your Achilles gets tight really fast. So they almost inevitably develop a little bit of what's called Aquinas contracture. So it means kind of the toes are pointed down a little bit, the whole foot, I should say. So they have to stretch through that. But of course, early on, you don't want to aggressively stretch because you need to protect the repair. So yeah, it's always a balance as you get back through an Achilles rupture and repair is getting the healing and then getting the motion and then getting the strength. It kind of has to go in that order. So yeah, that's the concern, is that with this accelerated program is that maybe skipping step 1 a little bit, like you're starting the motion strength before it's fully healed. And I think a lot of us will wait and see how it goes. If they make the playoffs and they're, a month down the road, is it possibly plays? I guess so. If that fails, it's, I'd imagine career ending for sure.
Yeah.
So, but he's also on the tail end of his career, and he's like, maybe one last push through the playoffs is worth that risk. I don't know. The other thing too is, I guarantee they'll be re-MRIing and ultrasounding that to really get a good assessment on healing, where we don't routinely do that with our athletes. Insurance companies won't pay for it, whereas these guys can get MRIs if they sneeze,
Right. Exactly. He's Dr. Crow, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine inside the training room. Dude, appreciate it as always. Have a good weekend, man, and we'll catch up again soon, okay?
Absolutely. Have a good one.
You too. There you go. Dr. Crow always bringing it for us here this morning. Always appreciate our conversations with him. We're going to take a quick break, and then we've got Brandon coming up in just a couple minutes. All right, let's jump right into it. I'm out of breath. Had to run downstairs and back up here quick. Ooh, Nelly.
You're hustling this early.
I am. How you doing? I'm out of shape. Holy.
I am too.
Holy. Okay. How you doing, man?
Not too bad. How are you?
Not bad. Did you get back yesterday?
I did.
From Milwaukee?
Yeah.
The good land has.
So I've heard.
Alice Cooper.
It's Algonquin for the good land.
Thank you. I couldn't say that about it. Before we get to some baseball talk here, let's catch up on some of the prep stuff. Because you were up late last night too, weren't you? Covering some stuff going on there. So I know we had Regis with a big win last night. A couple more weeks left here for the regular season. So we got some teams that have to clinch some spots.
We do.
Coming up here, right?
We do for football. Yeah, you mentioned Regis last night picking up the big win over Neosville Grandin. Maybe a little bit of separation for the Clover Belt Conference. Regis Mondovi. Regis beat Stanley Boyd last week. So right now they're half game up. Mondovi plays tonight so they can pull even. But yeah, we're by the end of next Friday, we'll know. We'll be at the end of the regular season. The playoffs will be the postseason pairings and such will be announced on Saturday morning. So
okay. So last night McDonald played though, right?
Correct.
In a little 8-man action.
Yes, they beat Lake Holcomb 49-0 to clinch a share of the conference title, which is the first time in actually program history they've won at least a share of a conference title in back-to-back years.
Could they win it outright yet?
Yes. Yep. Okay. They have one game left, so if they beat Prairie Farm next week, then they have it outright.
Okay, so they still have a chance to do that.
Yeah, because I think Prairie Farm and Bruce play tonight. I think they both have one loss maybe in conference play. So whoever wins, like there could be a scenario where one of those wins and then Prairie Farm beats McDonald and then there's a split. But yeah,
right. So we got so they've got 8-man. Do they still have 2 more weeks or
they do? They do. They're even with.
So McDonald still has 2 more.
They have 1 more.
Got it.
Because they played last night. So but yeah.
So even though they started a week later,
correct. They only have an 8-game regular season, and then the playoffs are a round less.
Okay, got it. Makes sense now. So. I know with the big rivers, coming up here, what is it? You got Memorial visiting Chippewa Falls tonight?
Yes, Memorial plays Chi tonight. You've got obviously 3 other matchups tonight. You got Superior going to Hudson. You got New Richmond at Carson Park against North. You got River Falls and Menominee.
That should be a good one there.
Should,
right?
yeah. And right now, Hudson, New Richmond still unbeaten atop the conference. They're kind of on a collision course. Obviously, they got to take care of business tonight.
Right. Because they play each other next week.
They do. And Eau Claire North can be a spoiler if they want to, and also obviously North is still battling for a playoff berth.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah,
is Chi High close to that too? Or
they could. Let's put it this way: they can make the playoffs, but they will not have a winning record in conference play.
Okay.
So Chi would need to win their last 2. Like if they would need to finish 3-4 in conference, it would be 4-5 overall, and they might. Nothing would be guaranteed, but once all of the teams that have clinched a playoff spot would go, and then you kind of start going down the list, and they could be in decent shape, but you have to win your last 2. They have to beat Memorial this week and Superior next week. So
to
even think about that. So they could, but they still got plenty of work to do if they want that to happen.
So put yourself in position, then kind of let it.
And then hope for the best. It's kind of the same thing with Memorial, where if Memorial would win tonight, they play Menominee next week. They would have to win. So I mean, it's kind of almost the epitome of a must-win game if you want to make the playoffs.
Right.
For both those teams.
So it's kind of the same message within those 2 locker rooms, I would imagine, for both Memorial and Chippewa Falls today.
I'm sure, yeah.
So, and that's at Chi High tonight?
That's at DeRay Field in Chippewa, yep.
So we got those in action as well. You mentioned the Stanley Boyd and Regis one from last week, and I know Regis got the victory, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, but that conference, is it still kind of up for grabs right now?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, Regis is a half game up on Mondovi, with Mondovi playing tonight. They've got Durand, which is a not an easy matchup because Durand is battling for a playoff berth too. But right now those 2 teams had the chance to give a little 1-game separation with 1 week to go. Mondovi beat Regis a little bit earlier on this year, but yeah, Mondovi win tonight would have pull that back even with 1 week to go, and it's possible that could end up being shared.
Now you were in Stanley last week, right?
I was.
So it was a comeback with victory in the 4th for Regis, wasn't it?
Well, they were down and they scored in the first play of the 4th. They were at the 2-yard line. So I mean, it was, but it wasn't it wasn't like it was a gigantic lead kind of a thing.
Gotcha. But it looks like they really turned it on in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, they're the type of team with how they play, physically running the ball that I think they kind of wore on Stanley Boyd a little bit, just
Mhm.
kind of wave after wave after wave, and then a few too many penalties for Stanley Boyd either. That doesn't help, and it's just they're a tough team to come back from when you're down.
Mhm.
Because by the fourth quarter, normally, I mean, they're leaning on you with that run game of theirs. I mean, they ran for well over 300 yards, hit a few big plays through the air. And, it's taken a little bit, but I think, Brian Brenner and the group kind of have a pretty good idea of, who they are, what they are now. And it's obviously, in many ways, it's a much different team than the ones we've seen the last few years. But,
Right.
They've figured it out.
Now, Cadet got a big win last
They
week,
did.
right?
They did a very big win. They threw a little bit of a monkey wrench in the Dunsane Croix standings because a bit like the Big Rivers, you had two teams going into play last week that were kind of, a bit head and shoulders above the rest. I mean, up by a couple games in the standings with Spring Valley and Boyceville, but Cadet knocking off unbeaten Spring Valley 16-8.
Mhm.
An impressive performance defensively again for the Hornets, who have allowed, I think, just 2 touchdowns in the last 3 games. And they went from 0-4 and it kind of looking pretty rough to them to now where, 1 win in these final 2 games and they're playoff eligible and
Mhm.
they'll be in. But, tonight they play the other unbeaten team, Boyceville, so that'll be a tough challenge. That's a really athletic and versatile group. They can run, they can throw, they play good defense. So that'll be a
Mhm.
tough one for Cadet. But hey, they showed last week that they can beat teams of high caliber. So
I was gonna say the confidence should be rolling right now with them
Yeah.
after that.
Yep.
So hopefully that momentum for them
yeah,
continues,
I mean they're going in there with plenty of it right now. I mean their offense, they're they're a run heavy team. They make no bones about it. They're going to run the ball, but
Right.
that defense, when you give up, I think it was around like 130 rushing yards or something to Spring Valley. I mean you've done something significant.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we got those games. Also, I know tennis is, we got some teams that are clinching some
Yep,
spots.
we
And,
had subsectionals and sectionals this week.
Mhm.
So teams will be advancing to state next week. Girls golf
Mhm.
had sectionals this week. They'll be on the state early next week. I don't
Mhm.
think any team, any players in the immediate area, Eau Claire, Chippewa, Menominee, et cetera, at least in Division One,
Mhm.
advanced. I know in Division Two, Belle Kongchuk from Colfax Elk Mound finished second at state in Division Two last year. She's on the state individually again.
Mhm.
Yeah, otherwise we've got cross country conference meets are next week. Tomorrow, Memorial hosts their annual invite at South Middle School.
Okay.
And that's always a big deal. You get teams of all sizes. It's kind of I know a lot of those teams really treat that as kind of the last, gas before the end of the regular season with a conference meet. And,
Mhm.
it's always really, a highly competitive one because you got Big Rivers teams. You've got good smaller school teams like McDonald that are going to be there. So it'll be that'll be a good, I think, litmus test for a lot of those teams.
Right. No doubt. And then I know McDonald Volleyball clinched conference title.
Correct. They clinched the outright Western Clover Belt title last night with a win over Fall Creek. So they'll be hosting the Clover Belt crossover next Thursday, I believe, against Marshfield Columbus.
Okay.
Team they faced a few times this year. Chippewa Falls picked up a big win in volleyball. Paige Steinmetz, senior, went over the 1,000 kill mark for her career, which is significant. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not easy to accomplish, especially considering one of those 4 years was an abbreviated one due to COVID in
Mhm.
2020.
Right.
So,
Good point. Yep.
but now they're in a spot now where they go into next Thursday taking on Eau Claire Memorial, who has been at the top of the conference all year long. Eau Claire, and they have a chance to win a share of a conference title.
Mhm.
Which Chippewa lost their first matchup of the year in conference play in pretty heartbreaking fashion with River Falls scoring a come from behind win.
Mhm.
So to know that they kind of went through it to set themselves up, and it won't be easy. That's a couple all state honorable mention teams there with Memorial and Chippewa. So that should be a doozy next Thursday in Chippewa.
Right. And shout out to for I know it's in the Dairyland Conference, but Manual Lutheran Volleyball.
Yeah.
Right now, so doing a really good job.
Yes,
this
they
year,
are.
Too,
I
so.
mean that they're a team that's they've run into McDonald a lot when McDonald was D4. I mean,
Mhm.
Emmanuel went to state. I think it's 2020. But now with McDonald moving up to D3, that it's gonna be kind of interesting to see who kind of emerges out of that sectional in D4. And Emmanuel is one of those teams that they're I think they're going a different direction than
Mhm.
McDonald this year. But I mean, as far as direction for their postseason, not
Right.
Not an indictment of the team at all, because
Right,
obviously they're
right.
doing very well. But it's gonna be interesting to see how that all develops because you've got I think a lot of teams there that now are pretty excited because it's wide open.
Mhm.
Maybe a team like a Cornell who's unbeaten still in conference, kind of closing in on their fourth straight East Lakeland title. That's an experienced team. Many of those kids as freshmen, lost in the regional finals to McDonald in a good effort, and they just kept kind of going and going. So it's going to be interesting to see who can kind of emerge out of that.
Right. Good stuff there, B. A reminder, too, Blue Gold football in action tomorrow for homecoming, taking on number 5, River Falls, ranked number 5, River Falls. Kickoff at Carson Park, 1:10 p.m. tomorrow. All right, Brandon, so let's rip the Band-Aid off. Or I should say, we did it kind of yesterday, so let's reopen the wound. That might be the best way to put it. So you were at the game on Wednesday. I'm getting my days mixed up already here this morning. We all know the result there. So would you say those 2 games kind of was almost a microcosm a little bit of the entire I mean, the thing to me, especially on that Wednesday game, if you'd have told me the way things started, that Zach Whalen would have lasted longer than Freddie Peralta. Gallon, sorry. Did I say Whalen?
You did.
Gallon, okay. If you'd have told me that Zach lasted longer than Freddie Peralta, the way things started off that game would have been, you're nuts. And that's what happened, though.
It is. I mean, he was at 30 pitches, I believe, after the first, and and I haven't gone too much back to look at that, but I'm just kind of curious. From just someone looking, it seemed like either Zach Gallen just found it and started grooving first pitch strikes, or the Brewers got a lot more aggressive, which is kind of odd considering the success they had in the first half or in the first inning, being patient,
right,
and working counts. I mean, they were spoiling
foul
pitches.
balls and all that.
Running pitch counts up. I mean, then that was kind of the idea, the way to probably try to get him out of there early, and it worked for a little bit. And then again, I don't know if it was just a matter of he started throwing a bunch of first pitch fastballs, so then at that point you kind of got to go. But right, I mean, Zach Allen showed why he's a great pitcher.
Right.
I mean, he had a rough first inning, but he settled in and he didn't get anything else.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was very similar to the first game too, where Brewers offense puts up early leads, and that's something I think we've been clamoring for. Is like, hey, just give Burnsy, Peralta, these guys a lead, early. Well, they did that, then their offense just completely shut down after that.
Right. They scored, I think, all of their runs in the first 3 innings.
Yeah. 2 in the first Wednesday game, and then
I think
1 and 2.
Yeah, I think it was either I forget Tuesday if that Taylor home run was the second or the third inning, but
I think it was the second.
I think you're right, but I mean I think that's why some people, or including myself, are still a little bit skeptical of the offense. You had some guys that came in, and after slow starts, Santana and Canna did better down the stretch, but you just even compare the offense to Arizona, like Christian Yelich had a good series. He came back from that back injury at the end of the year, and he had him and Contreras were always kind of the guys. But it just seemed like the rest of the lineup was always such a mixed bag. And I mean, here we are going into another offseason saying, the Brewers are going to do something to improve that offense. And I mean, this is a conversation we've been having since 2020?
Yeah.
I think 2019 was the last time this team felt pretty good about its offense. But I mean, that's just the question now. Like, you can't, specifically, I mean, I think there's certain spots where you can kind of, the outfield, certainly, I don't think they need to go out and make anything big there. You feel kind of good just with that group you have, that people will emerge, but.
And assuming Jackson at some point.
Yeah, Jackson Trio at some point. But, I mean, this is going to be another year where, corner infield, first and third base has just been such an issue for this team going back 2-3 years, where this, at some point, and they did this last year with William Contreras, at some point, this team has to stop I think I've used this phrase before, but heating up leftovers to try to get some offense. They can't, at some point you can't bank on
Brian Anderson,
a bounce back from Jesse Winker, a bounce back from Brian Anderson. Hey, well, maybe Brian Anderson can be good as he was 3 years ago. It's like, well, maybe like in a vacuum, that's not a bad move, but it's not a great move when you're looking at when you're counting on that to be a significant move. Maybe this is the off season where you've got all those outfield, young players. Maybe you try to package one of them and something to get you find a trade partner for someone that's got a, young bat, maybe young quarter infield, first or third baseman, but they're looking for outfielders. Like maybe it's just kind of a youngster swap for a youngster swap for teams that need something. But you got to do something. And the free agent market isn't super great, so it's not like
Pete Alonso.
Yeah. Well,
that's gonna. Probably costs a lot,
but
so
and I feel like the trade market's probably going to be the more viable option, just because there's not a ton of options out there in free agency, and we've seen the Brewers aren't super keen on spending big in free agency anyway.
Right.
So I think a trade would almost have to be the move.
I look at this. I mentioned it yesterday, but Kurt Hogg had tweeted this, who covers the Brewers, and I'm sure you know where I'm going with this number. Keep going back. Keep going back to this in my head. The Brewers had 30 base runners in this series. 30, 2 games, 30 base runners, 18 singles, 2 doubles, just 1 home run. They went 63 at bats between extra base hits at one point.
And this is the kind of the catch-22 you get because at one point here, not that long ago, the Brewers were a lot more home run heavy, and people were saying, "Oh, you got to get contact
Exactly.
hitters."
I said that same thing yesterday.
And but you know what happens sometimes when you have contact hitters? You hit the ball right at somebody,
right?
And you get double plays. The Brewers were running second in the majors in double plays this year.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the reason was you have some guys that we're going to put the ball in play, but if you put the ball in play without hard contact, sometimes it's going to end up being 2.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's just Sal Frelick hitting a bolt up the middle that Zach Gallen snags and turns into a play.
Yep.
But it's just you have to find a nice balance, and I think it was another quote that I think Kurt went back to was about Mark Canha at the start of the postseason and said,
Hitting
"Hey, you need to slug.
Yep.
Like you need to hit extra base hits.
Mm-hmm.
Look at some of the big things for the Diamondbacks.
Yep.
Again, the Brewers out hit the Diamondbacks as far as the number of hits goes, and base runners,
Right.
but they made the most of what they had. They were hitting them in the gap. They were hitting home runs.
In a home run friendly park, they were hitting.
Right. You have to find that balance.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You have to find that balance. And I think the thing too with some of their home run hitters is they're not just home run hitters. They were good hitters.
Right.
So they, Christian Walker would hit 30 home runs, but he was also hitting 260, 270 and getting on base. So it's not the same as Willie Adames hitting 25 home runs, but doing it with 218 with like a 280 on base or whatever it was.
You mentioned Willie Adames. Was it beginning of this year we were talking about contract? Now what do you do with he's got another year arbitration, but I mean, there's got to be some frustration levels with that. It's
the second year in a row where the offense is, at least this, the batting average and the on bases have kind of, taken a significant step back. His first half year when he came to Milwaukee in 2021, he hit like 260 and had like an on base of like 320. Maybe not quite as much power, but still like more consistency there it's just been very feast or famine. Mm-hmm. It got better for him the second half down the stretch, but still just the overall body of work was not great.
Right. I mean, I was trying to look at some of the top prospects, on the Brewers and what's I just blanked on the third baseman.
Tyler Black.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Tyler Black. Is that a potential, you look at last year, when they opened up, hey, Bryce Terang made the roster, Sal Frelick, Garrett Mitch, Joey Weimer. Is he ready for that?
He's close. I mean, because he got promoted later on in the year to AAA, and it took him a little bit, but he hit really well. Like that's his thing. He's a bat. He hits well. He doesn't strike out much, and he steals bases.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not a ton of power there, and he may be more of a second baseman than a third baseman.
Okay.
Because they were playing him at third base because they want to make sure. Like ideally, if he can play third base, he'll play third base. But the defense is not his strong suit of the bunch. So, to me, I'm thinking like, if you do that, maybe it's third base, maybe it's first base. If for whatever you decide, you're going to move on from Willie Adames via trade,
Terang goes ashore.
Maybe because the thing about Bryce Terang is nobody questions the defense.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're going to do that, like I almost feel like he's really the only other one that's going to be a viable option at shortstop, and you just hope he hits. You just hope that, year 2 for him at the majors, he can make tangible changes and hit because obviously the offense wasn't anywhere close to where you want it to be. And there's a lower bar, especially when you're at shortstop, but you still have to be able to clear that bar.
Right. Yeah. That's going to, to me, you can tell me if I'm way off on this. I feel like this is such a, and we probably say this almost every single offseason, but the question marks heading into this, it starts with Craig Counsell, one, right? I mean, that's, I knew it was going to happen because that's what we do. We had a couple people say Counsell needs to go based off the decisions he made in the postseason here. And I'm like, okay, let's just back up a little bit here. I'm pretty sure a lot of teams would love to have Craig Counsell as their manager.
And the one thing I will say, as much as I disagreed with the whole Jesse Winker on the playoff roster thing, that's not the reason they lost.
Right.
I mean, Jesse Winker had 2 outs with nobody on base and pitching opportunities in like the 6th inning.
Mm-hmm.
Like there were a lot more players that had a lot worse at bats with, runners in scoring position.
Mm-hmm.
And again, as much as I disagreed with that decision to have him in that spot, if at some point we're going to kind of get to the point where people are going to be fixating so much on that one thing that ultimately didn't make a big difference.
Right. Do you have a good guess of what? This is the thing. He's really kept it down. I know there's been like I think it was it Nightingale?
There's been some national reports, but he himself has not really said
right
much.
Because there was one. Oh, it was Hyman, I think, that said, there was some uncertainty whether he was going to manage, but now it looks like he is going to manage, but they just don't know where, that sort of stuff. I mean, he's stuck to his guns since the beginning of the season here.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like, I think that was part of it too, why I was so amped up for this playoff and down that it ended so quick, because could it be a potential last dance scenario?
I mean, this could be very different if Craig Counsell goes somewhere, if they decide they want to move on from, Corbin Burns.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you next. If Counsell leaves,
do they
just like, hey, we're going to trade, these guys to get something in return and just kind of restart over?
Maybe.
But if he comes back, then you have a 2011.
Maybe.
Where you got, okay, we know
because you have to
these
think
guys.
that if he comes back, they've already let him know, like, this is our plan.
Mm-hmm.
He's not coming back to find out, oh, they're trading, Corbin Burns and
Woodruff
whatever. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, I feel like this could go a couple different ways in this offseason, where it's two drastically different ways too. Because, when I mentioned this 2011, that's when, we knew, okay, Fielder's not coming. They can't afford him. They,
Right.
Same thing with Burns and Woodruff. I don't know what the Woodruff shoulder issue now too. If that,
there's gonna be some uncertainty there. So I think that makes it more likely he's in Milwaukee next year.
Right. And the Burns thing, I know some people will always value went down. There's still going to be a lot of teams that would love to have Corbin Burns.
His value did not go down based on the one playoff start.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe for Corbin's sake, if he does get dealt, it needs to happen before arbitration, so they don't have another go around there with that.
Right.
But, right. Yeah.
So I feel like the first domino that has to fall is Corbin, right? I mean, or Counsell, excuse me.
Yep.
Counsell. That's the first. But I also think too, like, and I know there's going to be frustration. There is frustration, and there'll be more, with Mark Anasio. Like, if it comes out where, how do I want to phrase this properly?
I think I know where you're going.
Where am I going?
If it comes out that Craig Counsell went somewhere
based off
of money.
Yep.
And
that's where I was going.
Yeah, and I've had this conversation with people too, where if it comes out like, somehow, like, the only way he wanted to say it, but the only reason was because, they wouldn't go up, much in money. Yeah, that would
really
tighten the screws on, the people with the belief of, Mark Anasio not, putting as much toward the team as he could, and, kind of focusing just on making sure he's maximizing his profits.
So I used this example yesterday, and I've mentioned this game many times, but when I was at Game 5 and 11, when they beat the Diamondbacks, Niger Morgan walk-off. And, we're all in the stands, confetti's falling down, we're hooting and hollering. And it's already loud. But anybody who's gone to a big game or a game, you can tell when it just gets a little bit louder.
Yeah.
And I remember that it got a little bit louder. So, like, we were all kind of like, well, what happened, And it was because the camera for the scoreboard was on Mark Anasio. And it kind of had that feeling like the fans were thanking him.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Because
for helping.
Well, that was the first playoff series win since 1982.
Right. You spent some money, got this team there. And now we're here 12 years later, and it's like frustration now.
Right.
It's a 180 here a little bit.
At that
and I think
point,
it's a good frustration because you've raised expectations.
They've raised the expectation because they've become consistently solid under his ownership. But now you have people that want it to go to the next level. Like when you're a singles hitter and you start hitting doubles, that's great. But after a while, after that, you're gonna be like, well, I want to start hitting triples or homers. And if it's not happening, people are gonna get frustrated.
Right.
Especially with there's obviously within recent years, there's certain things with Anasio as far as other interests and stuff where people are kind of wondering, hey, is he giving his full attention to this? Whereas at that time you mentioned that wasn't a question.
Right. Yeah. I don't know, but that's oh man, there's gonna be a lot of storylines, I think, this offseason to follow. So all right, let's take a quick break here. We'll finish up the second hour, hit up the Carpet City Flooring Center local spotlight. We'll do that. Got a little cream of the crop coming up in the last hour, plus we'll make some picks as well. We'll be back in just a few minutes. few minutes to the top here. Let's do the Carpet City Floors on our local spotlights. Brandon, who do we got for
Well,
our
you
local
mentioned them a little bit earlier, but I think we're going to go Cadet football.
All right, that's a good one.
Fresh off the 16-8 win over Spring Valley last week, a game that really, puts them firmly back in the the possibility of getting playoff eligible here by the end of next week. As we mentioned, they've got 2 left. They've got Boyceville Knights. So they got another heck of a challenge tonight against a team that's unbeaten. But now they're 3-2 in conference, 3-4 overall. A team that's kind of led by its run game, the 1-2 combo of Easton Goodman and Warren Bovey. Some good offensive linemen up front, a veteran quarterback in Jordan Peters, and then defensively, last week against Spring Valley, they a Spring Valley team that scored like 40 points in like five straight games, 135 yards of running, 205 yards total offense against a team like Spring Valley. That's tough to do. So now Cadets, they're right back in it. You mentioned them kind of having some momentum, a little bit of juju with them, and they've got a bunch of it right now.
And you know better than anybody, but wasn't it just a few years ago too, where the numbers were low for Cadet? Or
it was.
Like that?
This was actually 10 years ago. This year, I believe, was they were. I don't think they had a year. Like it was. I think it was 2011. It was 2011. I think that was when they had to cancel their season. 2011 or 12. I'm sorry, I forget which, but they had a stretch there where they didn't have a varsity team, and it was right around this time 10 years ago. They came back, and the numbers have been growing since. They're a little bit down now just because they had a big senior class last year, but really since they've come back, they've been a lot more competitive, and there's kind of been this recommitment, in that town, just starting from the youth level up, and you've got a lot of people helping out, and that's. That's for a program like a football program. That's what it takes. It starts at the younger levels with the coaches there, and you just, by the time those kids get to high school, they're ready to play. Even if it's at the JV level for a year, they're ready to play. And that's what it takes.
Good stuff there. Hey, we got a couple minutes to the top here, but I want to throw this out for anybody, and tell you what, for anybody who gives us a name or a couple names here, it's going to be included in our episode of the Man Cave podcast. I'll drop later this morning. But in case you weren't listening in the first hour when Morgan stopped by, it is National Coaches Day today. National Coaches Day. So anybody who wants to give a shout out to their favorite coach, text it to us, tweet it, Facebook it. We'll include all the names on our upcoming episode of our podcast.
There you go.
So you can text it to us, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Tweet it, Facebook it, video stream comment on it, whatever. We'll get that list of names. You got 1 hour, though, to do it. You got 1 hour to do this. So we want to give them shout outs over there for our National Coaches Day. So send those on over. All right. Send them on over. Because I just thought of that when you were talking about Cadet and just how the program, because it's coaches that.
Oh, yeah, it's all levels.
Yep, exactly. So, all right. We're going to do a little cream of the crop coming up next hour. We're going to do some picks as well. Who'd you pick last night between Bears and Commanders?
I think I went Commanders.
I did too. But it's getting tight.
It is. I saw it was tied.
I had a good week. I'm catching. I was 1 back or 2 back from you. I'm tied for second. So I'm catching up to you, man. I'm going to get there. So, plus we're going to do some college picks. Badgers coming back from their bye. Taking on Rutgers. Got some good college games, some interesting ones coming up for this weekend here too. So, and I know they're not ranked, but even I say what you want about moral victories. I'm really curious to see how Maryland does against Ohio State.
They can score.
Yeah,
the younger Tunga Viola as quarterback, like they can put up some points. So that's going to be one of the early games, and that's a game that. May not look on the surface like it could be a good one, but it could be a good one.
So we're going to make some picks and hit that up coming up a little bit later on. So, all right, we got a few texts coming in for their coaches. So keep them coming. You only got about an hour because Brandon and I, plus, if you want, really quick, I got to get this in. Brandon and I are doing our top 5 in honor of Giannis. Giannis trying a brat for the first time, which I question, but he chowed down on a couple of those babies. You knew somebody who'd never been to Wisconsin, they want to be fully ingrained in the Wisconsin culture or experience the Wisconsin culture. The top 5 things they must do or try. What are they? Brandon and I have our lists. If you send us yours, we'll include that too.
Yes, we will.
So 2 in. We got one more to go. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Final hour here on this Friday morning, October 6th. Appreciate you all tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from. Let's do a little shout outs here. Where are you listening to us from? Don't forget to send us your favorite, also influential coaches. How about that too? Who made an impact on your life? Because Brandon and I, as soon as we shut off the mics here at 9 a.m., we're going to pot them back up and we're going to record a new episode of the Man Cave podcast. And whatever list we have, you only got about 55 minutes, 56 minutes, whatever it is, left to send us your favorite coaches, most influential coaches, and we're going to give them shout outs on the episode of the podcast here because it is National Coaches Day. So let's get going here. Ready? Let's do cream of the crop. You want to do cream of the crop first before we get to our picks?
Yeah.
All right. Cream of the crop. Let's there we go.
But the cream will rise to the top. On balance, off balance, doesn't matter. I'm better than you are, yeah. The cream of the crop! Nobody does it better.
All right. We kind of talked about it off the air. Cream of the crop. We're going to do the same one.
We are.
Dick Butkus. He passed away yesterday, age of 80, which when I first saw that come through, I was like, the dude was just tweeting, because if you don't follow it, he was a fantastic Twitter follower, unless you're a diehard Pack. Well, I'm a diehard Pack, but he'd always have some fun with that rivalry, back and forth.
Because there was the one about his grandson.
I know his nephew's a coach.
His nephew's a coach, and he made the comment about congratulating him about going to coach for an expansion team. Just something fun.
Yep.
But yeah, he would.
Luke is the offensive line coach for Green Bay. He was at that game week 1 between Packers and Bears. I'm like, well, he was just tweeting, but passing away and it sounds like in his sleep at the age of 80. And Bears played really well last night. They got the win against a former Bear player, Ron Rivera, too. Just kind of that connection there. But not only just one of the best Bears of all time, and probably for some people, maybe the best Bear, or at least top 2, top 3, one of the best NFL players of all time.
You just I don't know. It's just certain players are just kind of synonymous when you think of just old school football.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to be one of them. Obviously a Hall of Famer, 8-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro, a member of both the All-60s and 70s team, entire career with the Bears. I mean, an Illinois dude through and through. Was born in Chicago, went to college at Illinois, played his whole career with the Bears.
Yep. Fantastic actor on what was that? I used to watch it as a kid. I'm going to look it up now, but it was a high school basketball team. And there was a girl on the men's basketball team, and he was the basketball coach. And I'm trying to remember, what was that?
He was also an influential person in the first go-around of the XFL.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
I think I don't know if he was just a advisor or something, but he did some PR stuff for it too.
Right. Let me see if I can get. Oh, he was on Any Given Sunday too. I forgot about that. He was the opposing coach. He made a cameo. A lot of former football players were on that show. Hang Time. Okay, I thought it was Hang Time, but I wasn't sure. Hang Time, because Reggie Theus was also on there too. He was actually. I always remember as a kid, I'm like, why is a football coach pretending to be a basketball coach on there? But when you think of an old school linebacker, those old NFL films, it's Butkus, it's Nitschke, it's those guys.
It is.
There's one of those though. I'm sure you've seen it in some other. It was actually an offensive play, I think, or they threw and he was in it and he caught it.
It was I think it was a field goal or something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
He caught it. He just handed it to. It was as soon as he catches it, he hands it to the defender. And the defender just swats it out of his hand. But it was no pause. Catches it. He's just here you go, sort of thing. Pretty good trash talking.
Yes.
Right. Even for back in the day.
Yes,
there,
and this
so.
one, we had talked. Cause I had a couple I was thinking of, and I'll just give a brief. My other one, my honorable mention was just Minnesota Twins, snapping the 18 game skid, and then just going on and beating the Blue Jays to advance. They start now tomorrow against the Astros.
I don't. I know that I'm sure some people saw the videos of. They were chanting, "We won, Houston."
Oh boy, that never works.
No, it doesn't.
But you know what?
Live it up, man.
I'll say I'll give them the benefit. It hasn't happened for a bit for them, so I'm happy for them. And yep,
exactly. We got some good coaches.
There we go.
Texting coming in here.
I know I've got some for me.
Too, so keep them coming. The more, the better. Too. All right, more the better. Let's do some picks. You want to start off with the college side of things here? We don't have a Packer game on this weekend, not until Monday, so which is very weird for me. When you get a Thursday game, then you get a Monday game, so you already have like a mini bye, and then you got your bye week after that.
I'd seen
so.
someone bring up the point. I think it was after the Detroit game that like the next time the Packers don't play a home game for a month because the next home game they have is October 29th against Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, let's do some picks here. I'm going to throw this one in here because why the heck not? Tonight, Nebraska at Illinois.
The Never Noise game. If you've ever seen the picture of the kid with the half Nebraska, half Illinois shirt.
Yep.
I'm going to go Illinois. I don't feel comfortable about it.
If it was in Nebraska, would it be different?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe, because that those fans would show up for that. But
right.
I'm going to say Illinois in a game I'm not going to be too excited I'm missing because I don't think it's going to be very fun.
Yeah. I'll go Illinois too, but Illinois has been a little, I think, not living up to expectations.
Yeah, and last year was tough. I mean, they had kind of the drain of they lost Chase Brown, they lost their quarterback, they lost their coach, who's now at Purdue.
Yep.
So I mean, they've, Brett Bielema had that first good year, but
right,
it's kind of maybe a little bit more normalizing a little bit.
Yep. Let's go with Oklahoma, number 12, visiting number 3. Texas, the
Red River rivalry, the last one where they're in the Big 12.
Yep. Baker Mayfield, I think, is at College Game Day for this one. So, how you see this one rolling? Will Paul Chryst help lead Texas to victory?
I am going to take Texas, and I am, I've been, a little bit skeptical on Texas, but
are they officially back?
Not yet. They did get by Kansas, which is a big hurdle for them at times.
Hook 'em horns. I'll go Texas in this one too. I think they pick up the W. So I'm gonna throw this one out here too. I think people who probably don't follow college football will be like, well, why are you picking that game? Maryland at Ohio State. But I want to bring the line into this pick because I think both of us will probably pick Ohio State, but the line is at 20. Ohio State. Does Maryland cover?
Yes. I'm going to say it's like a 34-17 type of game.
Okay. You agree Ohio State?
Yes,
right,
but
okay.
Ohio State outright.
Yep. Ohio State wins, but I would agree with you too. Maryland's going to cover that. So this is a big game for Maryland too, to I think open up a lot and really kind of like solidify them like, hey, yeah, we are for real. Because if they beat Ohio State, and this is in Ohio State too, they go in there and they beat them. Maryland's probably going to be in the top 20.
They'll jump up.
I know they're not ranked, but I would have to say you'd make your debut in the top 20, maybe like late teens or something, right? Or right at 20. So let's go number 23, LSU at number 21, Missouri.
I don't think LSU is making the Final Four like I predicted. But I'm going to go with Missouri.
I'm going to go Missouri too. I'm going to go Missouri as well on mine. So let's go with what do I got next on my schedule here? Let's go Alabama at Texas A&M. Let's go with a line on this one. I feel like, the whole Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban thing, if these two teams were ranked and all that, it might get a little bit more play. But, okay, how about this? Alabama's what they're. I think I'll take Alabama too. Texas A&M is 4-1. I mean, they're 2-0 in conference play now, but yeah, I'll take Alabama in this one too. So let's go with cruising on down. Let's go Kentucky at Georgia. Do we want to do the line? I mean, we're going to pick Georgia on that one, right? Yeah, we'll pick Georgia on that one. How about Notre Dame at Louisville? 10 at 25.
10 at 25, and it's Louisville's 25. I'm going to take Notre Dame. I do think that Louisville has a pretty good accounting. I think Jeff Brom, hiring him going home from Purdue back to Louisville, that was one of the better hires of the offseason. I think early returns have been really good on that.
Yeah. I'm going to go Notre Dame for this game. So Rutgers at Wisconsin. Rutgers 4-1. I mean, they gave Michigan at least a half, first half when they played over there. Wisconsin 3-1 here. The line is at 13 for Wisconsin. Can Wisconsin's defense slow down Michigan's offense or Rutgers offense?
And here's
right
the
now?
thing: this is the first time I'm going to pick Wisconsin to win, but I think Rutgers covers. I think maybe you said 13.5.
13.
Okay,
Yep.
but yeah, I'll still do it because I think it's like a 10-point game. This, I think, is the first time this year that Wisconsin's going to see, and we're going to see a few of them here these next few weeks, like a power running team, not like a non-spread finesse, style team, but a team that Wisconsin has been at points, and was, built their identity on.
Right.
So I'm curious to see how the 3-3-5 defense stacks up with that, because it hasn't always, at least, in the past, had great success against those type of teams. But I will take Wisconsin to win, but Rutgers, say like a 27-17 type game.
Okay. I could see that. Yeah, I think I'll go Wisconsin 30-20. I'll go 30-20. Wow, Wisconsin on there. So
A lot of field goals.
Yeah, right. Okay. Ready for some NFL
I am.
picks? now?
Which, by the way, I was wrong. I forgot to make my pick last night.
Oh, so you still would have got it wrong.
I
though.
would have been wrong either way, but this was if those of you that remember hearing this was my issue last year. I would make them a few weeks in advance, but then I would forget which week I didn't make the pick. So but I've got them now.
All right, so let's bring it up here. Okay, we got Jacksonville at Buffalo because I'm going to use the order for our pick'em challenge here. So
First Buffalo in London.
that's true. Yep, good call. So Jacksonville just stayed over.
They did.
See, right now.
Yep. And
Buffalo's offense has been unreal as of late.
right, I'm going to take Buffalo.
Yeah, I'll take Buffalo in this one too. I think that continues to roll for them. Houston at Atlanta. CJ Stroud, offensive rookie of the year, MVP. No, I'm just kidding. But he's been off to a fantastic start. I think by far blowing it out of the waters in terms of expectations that a lot of people had. And just goes again to show you, don't believe everything pre-draft.
Right.
All that stuff out. We don't know anything.
Right. You
so,
never know.
Yep.
You never know. You can use that information, but you can never specifically say like, well, this is what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually going to take Houston.
You know what? I think I'm going to too. I mean, the job that D'Amico is doing, obviously CJ Stroud helps out a ton. But I think if you're a Houston fan, you've got to be excited
Nico
about
Collins,
the future.
Tank Bell, or Tank Bell. Like there's some receivers kind of developing, and that was kind of the question was like, would there be enough around CJ Stroud? Well, he's developing a pretty good rapport with some of those younger guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Houston too on this one. Let's go Carolina at Detroit.
I think both you and I know who we want to win.
Yeah,
but I'm going to go Lions.
Yeah, I'll go Lions too. I'll go Lions, but jeez, were you nervous last week watching that game, Carolina and Minnesota?
I don't know if nervous was the right word.
Frustrated, annoyed.
I mean, obviously they're let's put it this way: Bryce Young's going to have to be able to throw the ball down the field. I mean, after a while in that Viking game, you could tell they just weren't going to put him in that spot.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to throw it less than 10 yards for the most part to Adam Thielen. He's got to be able to if they're going to beat Detroit.
Mm-hmm. Let's go Tennessee at the Colts.
Titans.
I don't know which Titans team to believe. Was it last week's one, or 2 weeks ago when they got annihilated? I don't know which Titans team to believe. I'll go Titans in this one too, but I'm not confident in that at all. Maybe we should do a line on this one. Giants at Miami.
What is? I was gonna say, what is?
Should
it?
I'll look
I
up the
remember a
line.
few years back when the Broncos played the Jaguars. That was like the biggest line in history.
Let me see if I can find it coming up here. I'll get it here in a second.
Well, in the meantime, to kill time, obviously outright, I will take Miami.
What? How
I know,
dare you, man?
I
They just
know.
lost to Buffalo. Wow. Okay, line's only 12.
I'll take Miami to cover.
Yeah, I'll take Miami to cover that in a heartbeat, for crying out loud. So, yeah, coming off of a loss, they ain't losing again. So, I will say though, one of my favorite moves in the offseason, it's got to start to pick up here. The Vic Fangio and defense for Miami's got to start to figure it out a little bit more. So, let's go Saints at Patriots. Bill Belichick, is he on the hot seat?
Oof. I'm going to go Saints. I think they bounce back on the road, even though I said this isn't Foxborough, and I'm always a little leery when the Saints are playing outdoors.
Mhm.
But I'm going to take the Saints.
I am going to go with the Patriots. I think old Billy Boy is going to find a way to get this W after getting embarrassed by the Cowboys.
Jameis Winston's going to have to watch him eat this dub.
Isn't Carr playing?
That's what I mean.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
gonna-
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Never mind. Over the head. Sorry. Yep. Ravens at the Steelers. Kenny Pickett sounds like he's going to play in this game.
Is that a great thing? I'm going to take the Ravens.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Ravens too on this one. Bengals at the Cardinals.
Not the game we might have thought at the start of the year. I'm still going to take the Bengals, but this could be a bit of a shootout.
Shout out Joshua Dobbs. He's making himself some coin right now.
Yes, he is.
But I'm going to go with the Bengals. They need this win big time. They need it big time. Eagles at the Rams. Eagles avoiding a scare last week against Washington. And Washington just getting dominated last night. But Eagles at Rams. And Rams maybe a little bit of a surprise for some people too this year.
Maybe better, and I know better than I thought, but Eagles, that stadium SoFi is going to be filled with Eagles fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to go Eagles on this one too. Chiefs, your Chiefs at the Vikings.
Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see Minnesota hanging around a little while because of their offense if they get some things early, but I just don't think their defense has it. Even though last week, obviously, the Chiefs weren't super impressive against the Jets.
I think that helps the Chiefs this week.
Yes, I don't think that happens twice in a row.
Yeah.
I will take the Chiefs by double digits.
I'm going to go Chiefs too on this one. Will Taylor Swift be at U.S. Bank Stadium?
She played there this summer.
Yeah, making a return. If she doesn't, oh my God, people are going to flip out even more. I'm tired of it right now. Maybe a preview of a potential NFC Championship game, a nice little throwback to the 90s. What?
I think you forgot a game.
What? Oh, Jets Broncos. I did.
You forgot Nathaniel Hackett's revenge.
The one that has lost all luster
right.
in the offseason. Broncos narrowly escaping with a win. Jets narrowly losing to the Chiefs.
I'm going to take the Broncos, though.
In Denver, I'll take the Broncos. Although I do think it's actually going to be close.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the 90s grudge match. Cowboys at the 49ers.
The Charles Haley Bowl. The Deion Sanders Bowl.
Yep. Can we go? There's got to be some more on this thing, too, probably, at some point. But, yeah. Mike McCarthy was an offensive coordinator for the 49ers.
He was.
He was. Throw that one out there. So, can the Cowboys' defense slow down Kyle Shanahan's offense? Dan Quinn going up against his former offensive coordinator for Atlanta.
A really interesting game. I think probably the game of the week. I'm going to take the Niners.
I'm going to take the Niners because I think the advantage is Niners defense versus Cowboys offense. So that's where I'm going to go with. And then Monday night, Packers at the Raiders. Jair versus Davante Adams. Let's go. Let's get that matchup. I want to see it so bad. And I hope the Packers win, but will they?
How many flights from Triple Valley, Eau Claire Airport have made their way to Vegas?
Well, there's the thing, like, I know when the schedule came out, we had quite a few people saying they already booked their flights from Eau Claire to Vegas. So I'm curious, is anybody still going to that game? Let me know.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Packers.
You going to go ride with the Packers?
I believe that the Packers will win this football game.
Will they stop the run? Raiders have not been able to run the ball this year, but can they break it open against this team? Packers are Raiders right now are a 1-point favorite at home. I'm not confident in this pick. And to be honest, I won't be confident in any other pick. I'll roll with Green Bay in this one, though. I think having Elton Jenkins back will be huge. I just hope John Runyon can play Monday night, though, too. So
Max Crosby?
Yeah, just anything to not have Royce Newman playing offensive line would be nice. Be kind of nice in there. So, all right, those are some picks. Let's talk some more ball, though, shall we? Talk some more football. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes. Keep these picks coming for your favorite coaches.
The
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back.
It's official. I've moved. To be clear, I didn't move out of my house. I've just been spending even more time in the man cave that my wife thinks I've actually moved out. And it's not because it's football season as to why I'm spending so much time in my man cave. It's because of the makeover Carpet City Flooring Center did with my floors in the man cave. New soft carpet that brightens up the place. And the tile. Boy, let me tell you about the tile. My wife and I wanted a cabin look for a portion of the man cave, and the tile we had on there was coming up and it was uneven, and there was 2 different types. But now with that new tile in the bathroom and the kitchen portion, it looks so nice that sometimes I'm scared to walk on it. I love my new man cave so much, I've got no reason to be anywhere else in my house. My son and I play games down there and watch some movies, and of course, the games on the TV. And I think my wife really likes it because I'm down there so much and out of her hair. And it's all because of Carpet City Flooring Center. Upgrade your flooring game with the same friendly and awesome team at Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Visit them today at 3109 East Hamilton Avenue.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more straight talk. Now you can get a Walmart Plus membership, plus not pay for it, because it's included with Straight Talk wireless plans. You get free delivery with Walmart Plus a Paramount Plus subscription included. Plus, you pay less for gas. That's a lot of pluses.
Only Straight Talk gives you unlimited 5G data and Walmart Plus included on select plans for free.
Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Requires service on Gold or Platinum Unlimited. One offer per eligible account. Paramount Plus Essential Plan only. Separate registration required. Additional terms apply.
The reviews are in. It's the best thing I have ever tasted in my life. This is the best thing that's happened in my life, even better than my wedding. That's what everyone has to say about Man Cave Light, the official beer of the Dan Kasper Show and the Man Cave podcast. Try it for yourself and you'll know exactly why people say it's like sipping a little bit of heaven. Man Cave Light is available on tap at the bar in Hy-Vee. You can also grab a crawler or 6 and take some Man Cave Light home with you. So go try your new favorite beer, Man Cave Light, today, and you will know exactly why one reviewer said, I cry tears of joy every time I have one.
Join us and other Brewers fans for a fantastic spring training trip of a lifetime in beautiful Arizona. 6 nights, 3 Brewers games, 2 days of sightseeing, and much, much more. Plan your vacation now. Stay at the Crown Plaza Phoenix Chandler Golf Resort with Uber vouchers for rides between Phoenix airports and the resort. There's a welcome reception. Daily breakfasts at the resort, 3 Brewers spring training games, professional guide with motor coach transportation to Sedona and Tucson, hosted by Arizona baseball tour staff. There's a souvenir t-shirt and 1 complimentary bucket of range balls per person at the resort golf course driving range. It will be an exciting, fun-filled excursion with memories for a lifetime for everyone. The Brewers spring training trip to beautiful Arizona. Don't miss it. For more information, get to this station's website and begin your vacation today.
Hey there, athletes and active folks of the Chippewa Valley. When it comes to your health and performance, there's only one name you need to know: Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. They specialize in getting you back in the game. Their expert team of orthopedic specialists and sports medicine doctors will treat your injuries and provide personalized care. Your comeback story begins at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Just visit cvosm.com. That's cvosm.com to learn more and to schedule your appointment.
And we continue our dig for the truth and the toy at the bottom of the cereal box.
Oh, got it.
The Dan Kasper Show.
Bottom of the hour here on this Friday morning. Let's chat some more football. We're not going to really break down Raiders and Packers too much. Talked a little bit about it in the first hour there with the whole Devontae Adams going up against his former team and such. But kind of had a little fun. Is he a top 5 pack? Something I think kind of flew under the radar though. But Devontae last week surpassed 10,000 receiving yards career, which is kind of like it's a milestone number. It's a milestone there. 55 overall. He's Probably going to pass Shannon Sharp here in the next game or two, probably this Monday, unless Packers really shut him down. And then he's going to pass Donald Driver, but we know Donald Driver is the only one in Packers history with 10,000 receiving yards there. But, it's like that whole take away Aaron Rodgers, the next Packer, former Packer to get in. And I kind of took away Sterling Sharp because I think it's trending that way, more of a current one. And I think, honestly, your two best ones are probably Devontae or Bakhtiari. And Bakhtiari would make me nervous because of the injuries. But again, it's like the Sterling Sharp thing. I think that narrative is starting to change.
Yeah, you're starting to get
like Tony Vaselli getting in.
Yeah, you're starting to get more respect for a shorter but more intense peak.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Terrell Davis.
Yep. 100%.
I mean, you can make the case for Kurt Warner, even though he had two separate primes, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Definitely. Yeah. I that's an interesting question. If Kurt Warner doesn't lead Arizona to the Super Bowl, is he in the Hall of Fame?
I don't know.
Because Giants, he wasn't.
No, he was not good.
No.
Remember, because he was brought in initially to play in front of Eli, right?
Yeah.
You give Eli some time, and it did not go well.
Kurt Warner is such a fascinating.
There's a reason they made a movie from the story.
Right. Obviously how he started his career, but then what he did with the Rams, and it wasn't for a long time with the Rams too. A couple of years there, but we got some other games to look at. Your Vikings here, Brandon. They got a tough task.
Yes, they do.
I know there's still talk about Kirk Cousins. Is he going to be traded and all that sort of stuff? Like
they're going to have to be like 1-6 for
Yeah.
that to happen, which I guess it could happen, but
like here's my thing too. Like
I don't think it's happening.
First of all, financials.
And that's it. Like trying to trade that much money during the year is tough. It's not like baseball where there's no salary cap.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And also too, it's like it is the NFC. Like you said, they'd have to be like almost 1-6.
Right.
I know they're 1-3, but
you
still.
feel like as a Viking fan, you feel like there's always a floor with Kirk Cousins. Like if Kirk Cousins plays all 17 games, I feel very strongly they're not going to be like 3-14 because he's too good of a quarterback for that. I'm not saying he's a great quarterback, but he's a good quarterback. And that floor will always be at a certain level when you have him like that right now, especially when you have Justin Jefferson, and the players he has around him.
Right.
But I think there's just too much that you have to account for that to realistically happen.
Yeah. I don't see how that would work. And with the Jets part too, and it's like,
yeah,
okay. Let's say it happens then, you get Kirk somehow, and now you're in the playoff conversation, but now Aaron Rodgers wants to come back.
Right.
What do you do at that point? So I just think it's a mess, not even worth going toward. Not to say he's, it'd make it worse. Kirk Cousins would make the Jets better.
Yes. But there's just a lot of circumstances that are tough to work through.
Right. Exactly. And I think it'd be different too, Brandon, wouldn't it be, if you had your backup?
Right. If you had a younger guy that say you drafted, but I mean, they don't. Like they drafted Jaron Hall in the 5th round, but that's not a quarterback of the future. That's more of a developmental, a bit like Sean Clifford for, your best bet for him is you're hoping he's a backup. Otherwise, you've got Nick Mullins, who's hurt. I mean, he's the veteran journeyman guy. They signed Tanner Morgan to the practice squad this week, but
did they really?
Nice. But no, they don't have that guy. Yeah, say in the offseason if they would have made the trade for Trey Lance,
right?
Then then you can see it because then you want to see, okay, well, what has he got? But there's nobody that's good enough that you can put in that spot of a youngster to say, hey, we need to see if this guy's the guy or not.
Right.
That
just kind of what we were saying with Kurt Warner and Eli. Yeah.
If this year they would have spent a 3rd round pick on
Hendon Hooker, if he was healthy.
Well, yeah, or someone like that, and you wanted to do it, but they didn't. So yeah, you're right. It just
or what was Will Levis was
Will Levis, yeah. Will Levis.
Do you think if it goes this way with Minnesota, where they missed the postseason and all that, and I don't know where their draft position, the whole mock draft thing now is just you and I love the draft, but this is
I don't need
ridiculous.
to be looking at many mock drafts right now.
Right, exactly. But if they miss the postseason, we know Kirk is a free agent. Do you bring him back?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think in some ways the Vikings are kind of showing their hand because Kirk Cousins wants to finish his career in Minnesota. He just wants that one more, 3-year contract. I think the Vikings said they were willing to do like one. Or that was the rumor anyway. But they didn't want to lock in to the later 30s, which I totally understand. Because how many quarterbacks have we seen, especially quarterbacks that weren't physical anomalies, a guy like a Tom Brady or even like an Aaron Rodgers, like
Right.
that weren't elite guys. How often we see even Peyton Manning or Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan in their later 30s kind of lose it. And when you lose it,
it comes quick.
it comes quick.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's the plan.
So let me throw a scenario though to you. What if, I mean, again, and this is going to depend on draft position, obviously, but taking a page from Green Bay and drafting a quarterback, but then he sits for a couple years.
Possible.
And you have Kirk for a couple more, while you're still taking advantage of the Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, all that sort of stuff.
Possible, but again, I'm not sure like how long do you want to do that? Because I think if the Vikings had their way, they would draft a quarterback this year, have Kirk Cousins for one more year, let the quarterback sit, and then in 2025,
so yeah,
take him over.
have him
But
for
I don't.
one more.
But I don't think Kirk Cousins wants that. I think
No.
he wants. He knows he's probably
Security.
got one more big contract, so he wants a 3-year deal. Well, if you're going to have a quarterback for 3 years, not going to draft a backup.
Maybe
or
he goes
like a
back
young
to
guy.
Washington. That would be something, man. Wow.
Under new
Ownership.
management.
Yeah.
Even though Irvin Magic Johnson did have to explain why the Commanders did not win.
Yeah.
In a very Irvin Magic Johnson tweet.
Yes. Well, isn't that why he stepped down as president of the Lakers, because he couldn't talk about stuff like that? And it's like, oh boy, here we go.
But,
It's another Steve Cohen.
Kind of
a little bit there. But because Jefferson's going to get a huge deal from Minnesota.
and that's it. And that
TJ's already got a huge
he
deal.
does. You're going to have to you're going to have to extend Darisaw at some point. Chris
Mm-hmm.
Darisaw's a great young left tackle. They Brian O'Neill. They're going to have money that it could work out well. I mean, the phrase "Quasi da Fomenza" the GM uses is time horizons, which is basically a timeline. It works out well for them to get a young quarterback and see what they can do on his rookie contract while those guys are,
Right.
assuming they all are extended, are in the meat of their extensions.
Because I would imagine you probably want some money for your defense.
You're gonna need it
Yeah.
because you're gonna have to get better somehow. Like I don't, the defense has not been great. I mean, it played obviously well last week. I put that more on Carolina than the defense, but I don't think there's many people out there that are thinking that's a Brian Flores thing.
Right.
There's not much there thing right now.
'Cause, I mean, even Harrison Smith's got to be maybe
He-
on the way out.
he
potentially, and,
he redid his deal, so I believe he can be a free agent after this year.
Right.
And it's refreshing to see Harrison Smith actually used.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, last year under Adontel, he was basically just a two deep safety.
Right.
It's like Harrison Smith is a unique weapon. Like he can blitz, he can do all these different things. Why aren't you using him that way? And we saw, he's closer to the end of his career than the beginning, but he's still got there's still a little juice left in there.
Yeah. The NFC North, the more I think about it, in the next few years is going to be kind of interesting to follow, because even Detroit's still young.
Yep.
Are they going to be that team that's going to be at the top for the
Right.
next few? Depending on what happens with Chicago, they've got the 2 first-rounders, one from Carolina and their own. They're going to be high. I'm sure. I don't know. I'd be curious to hear from some Bears fans if they were happy about the win last night.
Right.
You're probably happy, but at the same time, it's like, oh, we love the 1 and 2, back-to-back full picks there. So, I mean, there's optimism there. Minnesota, you're going to lock up Jefferson. You're going to have him. He ain't going anywhere. That'd just be stupid if Hawkinson's locked up. You're going to have a new quarterback here soon. Green Bay with, the emergence of some of their the next few years is going to be kind of interesting. Like, I don't know.
You're right. For the first time in a long, long time, the longer term future is very uncertain.
There's not a Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback at this point in time leading one of those teams.
No. And for the first time since the very early 90s,
Yeah.
like 1990.
Yeah. Because, I mean, even Minnesota Born Moon, or technically a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, but he was
at the
later
back
on,
end.
But he was later on. That
Right.
was more 94,
Right.
95.
So it's like
Yeah.
Favre and, and Favre
Eric
was
Kramer
Favre
for the
and-
Lions.
But yeah, it's the next few years, I think, is going to be kind of interesting to follow, because you got different. How do I want to phrase this? Each team's kind of got different outlooks, maybe.
Yeah.
Like Detroit, Jared Goff's playing well. And I give Detroit a lot of credit for doing this, not succumbing to the pressure of, oh, we got to draft a quarterback in the first round. And where they were drafting, there really wasn't that guy.
No.
And I'm not picking on you guys, but like when Minnesota drafted Christian Ponder.
Yeah, no, it was a reach.
It
was a reach. He was a latter half of the first round guy that they took. I think it was 11th.
Yeah. And so I give Detroit a lot of credit for not doing that. But is Jared Goff is he still long term? And he's playing well. He's making it hard on Detroit to make
He's
that
doing all he
decision.
can do.
Chicago is like starting over again. Green Bay's got a nice mixture of some veterans, but maybe still a little uncertain with a lot of young wide receivers. And then what we were just saying with Minnesota. It's going to be interesting to follow this division, I think, for the next few years. And probably a lot of anxious times and nervous times out there too. But almost kind of maybe like early 90s-ish.
Yeah, where it was just kind of up in the air. And
yeah. I mean, heck, Detroit going to an NFC Championship game, losing to Washington back then.
Suddenly
too,
in a few weeks, that Detroit-Tampa Bay game got moved. It's
Yeah.
the big game late.
Week
Vintage
6 next
NFC
week.
Central rivals.
Mm-hmm. I like it. The emergence of Baker Mayfield. Hey, Tampa's 3-1. You got to
Yes, they are.
give them
There
credit.
was going to be a team in that division that kind of tried to put themselves head and shoulders above the rest because it's a very winnable division for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And right now it's Tampa Bay.
Yep. I'm avoiding saying first quarter of the season because
Technically, the first quarter of the season is done at the first quarter of the Monday night game. It was so
Right.
much easier when it was 16 games. The
I
math
know.
worked.
And I'm just like, but it works a little bit better because they have the bye week right after Monday night. So
That's
I'm like,
true.
I'm using that as like, let's get through the Raiders game first and then the first quarter here. But since you picked, your Minnesota to lose to Kansas City, 1-4 start, then that would be in the first quarter of the season. I picked Minnesota to win the division. What has been the biggest disappointment that you have seen from your team thus far?
Probably the turnover proneness of the offense.
Mhm.
Because I think no one really expected that the defense, even with Brian Flores, come in to be like suddenly like a top 15 group.
Right.
Because they had a lot of talent they lost. It was older talent, but it was talent. And, the offense just turned the ball over. I mean, you can make the case that, maybe they beat Tampa Bay if they don't turn the ball over so much.
Mhm.
Philly, that's a little bit tougher for me to make that argument.
Right.
San Diego, I keep calling them San Diego. They're still the Chargers to me in San Diego, darn it. But, the Chargers, that's a game where,
They gave it you a chance,
yeah,
Brandon Staley, thank you.
You were gifted a chance.
Jeez.
And, if TJ Hawkinson corrals that ball instead of having it bounce off his hands, who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But to me, that's the surprising thing, is their inability to protect the ball, be it interceptions or fumbles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely kind of been a surprise. And it's not getting any easier with the schedule coming up here either.
No, they've got Kansas City now, and I think they go to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got San Francisco coming up here pretty quick too on Monday night.
Yep. So,
Like after that, it kind of even I don't say it gets easier when they play the Packers, but they're playing teams that are a little closer to them than the Chiefs and the 49ers.
right. Would you say the NFC overall so far in these first few weeks has kind of actually played out in terms of what we expected in our preseason predictions? Like, we all assumed, I shouldn't say we all, but a lot of us is like, it's Philly and the 49ers as tier, and then they're the only two at the top tier in the NFC.
And
You got Dallas is
Yeah.
probably in your next tier there. That loss to Arizona doesn't look good. Let's be real. It doesn't look good on there. But, I mean, the only two teams that are left undefeated are the two teams that a lot of us thought would go to the NFC Championship game, 49ers and Eagles. And then it's like everybody else behind that.
Right. Because the Cowboys are right there. And look, Cowboys can obviously change that that perception with a win.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But then you said Tampa Bay, like their schedule, you can do that. Like you can do some things. Like there's some teams like the Rams are a little better than we thought, but there's also some
Cardinals are more competitive than we thought.
Yep. That NFC West is a little better than we thought. Not, I want to say top heavy because we think the 49ers are really good, but those
Right.
teams behind them aren't chopped liver.
Right. Seattle's going to grind it out,
Yeah.
kind of sort of thing there too. But, and you kind of wonder, did we really overlook, and it's overreaction from 4 weeks, and I get it, but a team like Tampa, because when you look at it, they still have a really good defense. They still got Mike Evans.
I say they got skilled players on offense.
Yeah. And, yes, you're moving on from Brady to a Baker Mayfield. I understand that. It's a big, but you factor in those other and looking at that division, it wasn't like, oh, this team's by far better in the NFC South.
Right.
Did we overlook Tampa a little bit?
I think so. Because I thought, New Orleans would probably be that team, but I also thought, depending on, I thought Atlanta and Carolina were both dependent on their quarterbacks.
Right.
And so far we've seen they've been very hit or miss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and with younger quarterbacks. But no, I think you're right. I know I certainly probably overlooked the Bucks a little bit.
Right. All right. We got to take our final break here, but this is your 15-minute warning. 15-minute warning. Since it is National Coaches Day, we want to give some shout outs to your most influential coaches or your favorite coaches. So you can text those on over to the Shoe Doctors bullpen line. We got a good list going here right now, 715-830-1912. Hit us up on Twitter or Facebook. 15-minute warning, because as soon as we're done here, we're going to start to record that podcast and give a shout out there. So you got just a little bit of time left to send us those, and we'll go through every name. We got some duplicates there, but that's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. So we'll get to those, but this is your 15-minute warning. All right, 15-minute warning. Final break. We'll be back in just a little bit.
You're listening to the Dan Kasper Show.
Life can be a real pain, but you know what? It doesn't have to be. That is, if you visit Shepke Chiropractic. At Shepke Chiropractic, they're dedicated to helping you achieve a pain-free, healthy life. Dr. Logan understands that each person is unique and will tailor their care to meet your specific needs. Shepke Chiropractic's goal is to work with each patient to achieve their goals and perform to their fullest potential in the capacity that their life requires. They offer in-depth assessment and a thorough, caring approach to correcting your body, mind, and soul. So let me ask you two simple questions. Are you tired of living with pain and discomfort? Are you ready to take control of your health and well-being? Don't let pain hold you back any longer. Make your appointment with Shepke Chiropractic at one of their 2 locations today. Just visit ShepkeChiropractic.com to learn more and to book your appointment. Your journey to a healthier and more fulfilling life starts here at Shepke Chiropractic. Make your appointment today at ShepkeChiropractic.com.
If Culligan isn't treating your home's water, you likely have water problems all around you, like hard-to-clean, chalky residue on your shower, faucets, and bath, stains around your sink drains, spots on your dishes and glassware, plus dull, dried-out hair and skin, and problems you don't see, like scaly buildup in the water heater and pipes. But have no fear, you're in the clear with Culligan Products and Service. For all your residential and commercial water filtration needs,
visit CulliganH2O.com for your local Culligan water dealer.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more straight talk. Now you can get a Walmart Plus membership, plus not pay for it, because it's included with Straight Talk wireless plans. You get free delivery with Walmart Plus a Paramount Plus subscription included. Plus, you pay less for gas. That's a lot of pluses.
Only Straight Talk gives you unlimited 5G data and Walmart Plus included on select plans for free.
Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Requires service on Gold or Platinum Unlimited. One offer per eligible account. Paramount Plus Essential Plan only. Separate registration required. Additional terms apply.
Oli is a leading supplier of specialty yeast extracts, culinary powders, and bionutrients for fermentation processes. Focused on taste, health, and natural ingredients based in Boyceville. They maintain a friendly, team-driven culture, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and practical shift schedules. So if you're looking to begin or advance your career, apply at Oli.com/careers. Oli is currently seeking professionals in engineering and production operators to help improve the taste of life. Apply now, OHLY.com/careers.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call the 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
As a roofer, I'm always on the go, so I need to be able to get things done from anywhere. That's why I partner with Beacon. With the Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the brands I depend on, like Certainty Landmark Pro, right at my fingertips. It's like having my Beacon rep in my pocket 24/7. I rely on Beacon because I never stop building, and neither do they. Now through November, purchase Certainty through Beacon Pro Plus and earn up to $750. Beacon, always building.
Want the latest insight and analysis on your favorite green and gold football team? Check out the Green and Gold Chalk Talk video series hosted by Dan Kasper with new episodes each week on YouTube.
10 minutes to the top of the hour before we're done out of here for the weekend, right? For the weekend here. So, got some more picks coming here. Keep them coming. We're going to save these coach shout outs for the episode of the podcast that will drop later this morning. Don't forget, we're doing something new with the pod coming up here too. So I'll explain it again. It's very easy. But when you listen, there's going to be like a password, a key password, keyword, key phrase. When you hear that, enter that keyword. We got a link up on our website. Just it says Man Cave Podcast keyword. Enter it in and rack up some points. The more points you get, prizes, stuff, events, experience.
Get stuff.
Yep, exactly. So a couple of different ways you can do it. You can, the easy one, go to our website, get the link. It's right on the Man Cave Podcast page on there. Or if you text the word cave to our texting line, 715-830-1912, it'll automatically send you that link where you can type in that keyword then. So that's simple. All right. But you got to listen. And we started that on yesterday's episode of the podcast, but it'll go throughout every time we remember to do it, if you will. So, but we'll get one up coming up later on when Brandon and I do ours. Also, on the podcast that we're going to do, Brandon and I are doing our top 5 plus in honor of Giannis, where Giannis apparently, I question this a little bit. Was this really the first time he tried a brat? Was it? I don't know why he'd lie about, but was it? I mean, come on. But anyways, top 5 things that you have to do, try, or experience to really ingrain in the Wisconsin culture. So Brandon and I have our top 5. I don't know his top 5. He doesn't know my top 5. We do it
Going in blind.
Going in blind. That's the best way to say it. So, all right. Now that we've got the divisional series starting tomorrow too for Major League Baseball playoffs, let's repick.
Well, I will tell you. I will tell you this offhand because I did a bracket for MLB.com.
Mhm.
I got 2 right and 2 wrong. I got the AL.
With the Rays,
I got
one?
the AL wrong and the NL right. I actually picked the Diamondbacks over the Brewers.
You did?
I did.
How dare you? That's why they lost.
After the Woodruff news, I just had bad vibes.
Do you think that really affected that clubhouse?
Maybe, although, but if it did, it wasn't like it was all on that. It was just kind of a domino effect.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I gotta re-say that I was wrong. I picked the 2 teams that were wrong. Yeah, No, never mind. What am I thinking? No, I was right. The AL.
Okay.
I talked
So you got
myself
the AL all right?
I got the AL wrong and the NL right. I picked the D-backs and the Phillies.
Okay.
And the AL, I picked the Rays and the Blue Jays.
Oh, okay.
I actually picked the Rays to go to the World Series. So.
Oof. And you didn't pick the Twins?
Nope.
How dare you? All right.
I thought they'd win a game.
Okay.
But
they
let's
won.
repick it now and get it right from here on
They
out.
won 2 A games.
They did. They did.
So everybody's in action tomorrow, and then it flip flops back and forth.
Yeah, they don't.
After
Yeah,
that.
they have the NL. I believe has Sunday off.
Yep.
So they have them staggered a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So let's go. This is for your bracket, not just these games. Okay, we're gonna redo the bracket. Texas, Baltimore.
I'm gonna take Texas.
Look at you going.
I'm gonna take Texas. We'll go with 5. It goes the distance.
That's the thing too. Remember, it's 5. Best
It's
of 5.
best of 5.
Yeah.
I'm still a little leery about the pitching for Baltimore.
Okay.
I like their young talent. I like the way Texas is playing. I mean, they took it to the Rays. Like they weren't close. I just like what Texas is doing right now.
I can see that. I definitely could see that. I think Texas. I wouldn't be surprised if Texas won. Let's put it that way. But I'm going Baltimore. Let's go Baltimore. I know I don't think he's Terran Vavro. Let's give cheer for the local kid.
Yeah,
What's the organization over there? So let's go with Minnesota at Houston. Well, Minnesota and Houston.
I'm going to take the Astros in 4.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go Houston.
You know, I would. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see the Twins keep it going and knock out Houston. But the interesting thing about the playoffs here is the Brewers and the Twins scored the same amount of runs in their 2 games.
Oh, don't say that.
The difference was that both Brewers and Twins were both led by their pitching. The difference was in those 2 games, the Twins pitching was as good as advertised.
Jeez, when you put it that way, that just stings more, dude.
They both scored 5 runs.
God. Oh.
So I'm going to take the Astros in 4.
Okay. So you've got Astros and Texas, a division
I'll
matched up
Texas,
there.
yes.
Yep. So let's do nationally before we do a little bit more here. Philly and Atlanta.
This is gonna surprise you. I'm gonna take Philly.
Okay.
Take Philly in 5. A little bit like Texas. I really like the way they're playing right now.
Mhm.
They've got swag with them. They're doing the Pedro Serrano home run dance.
Yeah.
And the Phillies played the Braves tough. Like that's a tough matchup for the Braves because that's a Philly team that like they're not intimidated by the Braves. Braves are awesome, but in the best 5, they can slug with them.
All right.
They've got the top end pitching. If their bullpen holds up, I'm gonna take Philly and it goes the distance.
All right. I'm going Braves. I'm going all chalk right now, so I'm not as risky.
I'm adventurous.
As you. Adventurous little man there. Arizona, Dodgers.
I'm pulling for the Diamondbacks. I'll be honest. I got nothing wrong. I got no problems with the Diamondbacks.
But are they going to win this?
No, they're not.
Okay.
I'm gonna take the Dodgers.
I'll take the Dodgers in this one too. So you've got Baltimore and Texas.
No, I've got
Houston and Texas. Excuse me.
And then I got Dodgers, Phillies.
Yep. So Houston, Texas. Who you got going to the World Series to represent the AL?
At Houston.
That's a boring pick.
It is.
I'm gonna go Baltimore just because that's what I want.
That's what I want too.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's like if it's like Baltimore, or Minnesota, those are my two. Like, yeah.
Okay. So you go in Houston. I'm going Baltimore. You've got Philly and the Dodgers. I've got Atlanta and the Dodgers. I'm going Atlanta.
I'll take the Dodgers.
Okay. Wow, Houston Dodgers.
I know, and I hate it. I hate it.
Who you got winning?
Dodgers.
Oh, geez.
That's who I picked to win from the outset.
Okay.
Like I think they're a little under the radar because they've had some injuries, especially the pitching staff. But I think it can still. I just think there's enough there.
Okay.
I'll go Dodgers.
I'm gonna go. Surprise, Braves. I'll just go there. So that's who I got. But if I had to hitch my wagon to a team now, I'm probably going Baltimore. Just because. Why not? Why not?
Love to see it.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it.
So, all right. Are you going to be at Chi High tonight?
I will.
For
Triple and Memorial.
Memorial over there too. So big game for both to
Yeah.
hopefully keep some playoff hopes alive.
They're if they win their last 2, like it's not guaranteed, but I would say it's decently likely that if either of those teams wins their final 2, they can make the playoffs.
Okay. So it's kind of like a playoff game tonight.
Kind of, yeah.
A little bit here. So you got that tonight. It's a lot of good games. Just a couple weeks left here of the regular season for high school football. So when does basketball and hockey practice start? Do you know if
I want to say it's like some of them start. I think it's maybe like the second Monday in November.
Oh, so we got a little time.
We got time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still next month.
About a month. Yeah. Okay. So I just know. I think the Blue Gold hockey team's got a scrimmage already next week. Something like that.
Well, NHL starts Tuesday.
That's right. Go Kraken. They're opening up against the defending champs. This is our year, 3rd year. I got my Kraken.
You've been
hat.
waiting your whole life
I've
for
been waiting my whole
yeah.
life for a Stanley Cup championship right now. So
some people have been waiting all day for Sunday night. You've been waiting all your life for.
It's going to be a good Tuesday. You know why? Because we're going to talk about a Packers win over the Raiders, and we're going to talk about the Kraken open up season, so I can wear my Kraken hat again on Tuesday while donning probably a Packers shirt because of a win. How about that? Can't ask for any more of a mismatch in color schemes either with those two. So let's do it. All right, we're going to close up shop here because Brandon and I, we've got a podcast to record. Don't forget to check it out, listen to it. If you don't, that's your fault, and we can't be friends anymore if you don't. So I'm really curious to see what – I think you and I are probably going to have some of the same top 5s.
I'm curious, but I'm
I
a little –
don't know what your number 1 will be, though. That's the thing.
I'm pretty proud of my number 1. I will just say that.
All right.
And remember, top 5, all people should experience. Like,
just imagine somebody says, "Hey, Joe, how do I experience Wisconsin?" These are the top 5 things you have to. It's like a bucket list, checklist sort of thing.
Yep.
So, have a good weekend, everybody. Best of luck to any youth hunters. Don't forget, be safe out there. Best of luck, and send us those photos when you do go out there and have some luck. DP and the Danettes, they're up next. We'll be back at it Monday morning. See you then.